no, it's like $5,000 and you'd have to dump a bunch of money into it, and that's retarded. I'm sorry. That's the word that came to my head, so I said it. What you said was really dumb. Really funny. And it would make a lot of women laugh. He was like, I really want a tiger. And she's like, absolutely the fuck not. I really didn't think it was gonna go to tiger. Fucking tiger. How's your bow skills there, buddy? Are your bow skills good? Oh my god.
I have 2 weeks of vacation a year. 1 week I travel.
Yeah.
My second week is a staycation. What's the favorite place you've ever been?
She's
Vegas?
successful. Vegas.
I'm going to Vegas tomorrow. I don't think
Jesus
I'll like
Christ.
It's your first time?
I've been to Paris, France. She was like, I don't think I'll like it. She's like, I don't think I'm going to like Vegas. It's like, I don't know. It's Vegas. Take $200. Go to Vegas. Get a motel room for $25 because they want you to gamble. Go blow $100 on blackjack. Have a vegan burger that's actually genuinely good because the casino wants you to be there and spend money and stuff. Have a nice craft beer. Fuck, I'm making myself hungry. You know, and sit the fuck back. I'm gonna go cook something. And, you know, watch a show for $50. Take a flight out for $70 or whatever. You spend $275. You had the time of your life. That's what a normal, open-minded person thinks of when they think of casinos in Las Vegas. And honestly, that's what it's like. You're not going to win. That's not part of it. You're not getting drunk. It's too scary of a place to get drunk now. Like, not in like a blackout drunk sort of way. Yeah, and you have some fun. Hopefully, maybe you somehow meet somebody and take them back to your motel room. Maybe is probably the best part of the night or whatever. Short of that, like, you know, yeah, it's like take about 270. Take about $350. Call it $350. Take yourself about $350. You're gonna buy a $75 plane ticket down there, a $75 plane ticket back. You know, in your budget, you probably have about $350, and then you got about $200 to gamble. You go and you spend, like, I don't know, $40 on a motel room at Circus. Sure, it's kind of a crappy motel room that still smells of the smoke from the 90s. But, like, you know, but oh well, it's fucking $40 or whatever. And then you get, like, you know, you get yourself about 5 drinks for about $30-40 or something like that. And then go sit down at a blackjack table and bet $5 like 10 times. Go sit down at a cheap slots thing and just hit the button for 40 minutes for 10 cents or something. And then go catch a show for $50 and boom, you've hit your $350. You already bought your plane ticket out in the morning. Take the light rail to the fucking to the airport or whatever and leave. Or whatever. Take a shuttle. They got tons of shuttles. Take a shuttle to the fucking airport and leave. Cost you about $350, and you got yourself a nice 2-day vacation, something. If you're really making the kind of money where you want to buy a tiger or whatever, she didn't say that. He said that. Then, you know, your attitude shouldn't be, I don't think I'm gonna like it. You know, it's like I don't know, man, what's not to like? It's like, you know, blow some money on, like, you know, roulette, bet on black, like, bet $1 on black. Bet $1 on black for like 50 games or something and just see how you do. Who cares? You know, have fun, drink their free drinks. And then leave, like, you know, leave the next day, like, you know, 11, you're kind of hungover, you had about 10 drinks or something. Had the time of your life. You met a bunch of interesting people at the tables and stuff, and, you know, whatever. It's, you know, I don't know, like that attitude of, like, I don't know. It's as crazy that she's like, I don't think I'm going to like Vegas, as it is for him to say tiger, because it's like, I don't know, Vegas is kind of fun, honestly, in my opinion.
It's like a very congested...
It's not what it was in the 80s or 70s. It's not this thing where it's like family friendly now. It's not this fear and loathing thing. It's got all the things not inner city, but Metro City would have. It's got all the problems Metro City would have. So take Ubers or whatever, or take a shuttle to right directly to your hotel and don't go anywhere. But like, you know, except to go to a show, walk down the strip, go to a show, you know, spend $20 on a show or something, and then come back to your motel room, get like 3 more drinks at the casino or whatever, run some casino slots, and then take a flight out at 11 in the morning. It'll cost you about $350 or something like that. And boom, you had 2 days of a weekend that were fucking amazing. It's better than your weekend at home. This whole thing about, this is something I don't like about people when they're like, I have this with video games because I know that I played them all and I know what works for me and what doesn't. But I don't know. Vegas, being closed-minded about something in the real world is something I try not to do. If somebody's like, hey, you want to go get, like, you know, like, I don't know, porridge at a bed and breakfast or something, I'd be like, yeah, sure, sounds great. Or like, oh, Vegas sounds cool. Let's go ride the Alpine slide, or let's go hiking, or I don't know, let's go walk the dogs down at the park or something like that. That sounds amazing, but it's like, I don't know.
Space of like sweaty people.
Yeah.
Like waiting for lines or something. Yeah.
Humid. Insane.
She would fuck him. It's funny. I think she would fuck him, but I don't think she likes him. Ask him who he votes for. Do it. Ask him who he votes for.
I would like the salmon. And where's the restroom?
Right on the foot of her. I'll help you there.
Okay.
She's gonna bail. She's gonna bail right here. This is her bailing.
Give me the chicken.
Okay, I'll be back.
No, she's arranging a ride out. She's not dumb. She's done this before. She doesn't want him trailing behind her, being like, why are you ditching me at the restaurant or whatever. She wants to be able to get into a car or some kind of Uber and get the fuck out of this situation. So she's going to the bathroom to order the car. I know, because I'm the Uber taxi driver that shows up. I know.
Oh. Hi, I hate him.
I'm the guy who shows up that your girlfriend called to get away from you. Ah!
Hey, what's up, man? So I don't know if it's going well, but I mean, it's going. I think she's probably like my age, which like I look a lot younger than my age.
That thing looks
Kinda like,
awesome.
Like I'm talking like a shell of a person. When a date's not going well, I can usually sense it. But
You think
still,
this one's
you know,
going well?
have a really positive attitude. I have a
No,
really
no, you don't know. You have no
so
idea. You
real
are not
about
reading
it,
the room, Boomer.
because I'll-
You're not
I'll
reading the
have a
room.
good date no
No.
matter what. Whether she
No,
does
no,
or
that's
that's
not.
fine.
Nope, this is not a good date,
Keeps
Tiger.
talking about how
Not a
he
good
likes
tent.
to gamble,
Not a
and
good
I'm
date,
like,
Tony
"Oh,
the
you
Tiger.
like sports?"
No.
And he was like, no, not really.
This is like Blind Date. It's terrible.
And that's my #1 thing. And then he totally asked me
Watch
how
Blind
old
Date.
I was. Like, who does that? That's super rude, right? So he's like the worst.
So
How was it the worst date
call an
ever?
Uber. Call an Uber.
Howdy.
Get out of there, girlfriend. My
Let's
fuck,
have a
she is
really
hot.
awkward
She's
conversation.
beautiful.
Like what? Like about your eyes?
No,
Like you have the prettiest eyes ever?
thank you. That's so nice. I'm running
Oh,
out of
it's
time.
awkward.
I'm running out of time to get married. I'm running out of time to get.
Oh,
have
that's what she's
children.
thinking
You know,
about.
I am
No, don't think about that.
34.
Just leave.
I am
Just
the only
leave.
one in my circle of friends that's
Just
not
leave, just leave.
married with kids.
What's the awkward conversation?
Maybe I can find a girl like
I
that
just
age.
feel like
Maybe I can
the
find like a
ladies
girl
are
who's
not
like
a great
36,
match.
38. I'm
Why do
40
you feel
some
that way?
odd.
I just feel like we have really different interests.
Like I like traveling and eating.
And I don't like traveling,
Yeah.
and I love sports. Women, as
Look,
they get
they are getting
older,
tranked. They're getting
don't
tranked.
look as great. And then men, when they age, they get to be more attractive with the salt and pepper hair and a little bit of scruff. So I do feel like the time is now, like the clock is
He's not an
definitely
unattractive
ticking.
man. He'll do fine.
Don't love animals.
Oh, I love animals. I just don't.
If he has
I don't
money
go
and
there
he's not
because I
fat, he'll do
travel so
fine.
much.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Well, I'm gonna leave.
Oh, you're leaving? You're not even gonna eat?
I'm not even gonna
I'm
eat.
gonna leave. I'm not
I
gonna
know,
eat.
it's just so weird.
This is a train wreck and it's weird.
Okay.
No, I think
Let
you're
her-
a
let her
really
bail.
nice, great person. I just feel like
Don't
we're
be weird
not
about it,
a
asshole.
love match.
Let this girl bail gracefully.
I totally feel you,
Don't be a
but,
dick about it. No,
I think
shut the
I
fuck
do
up.
think
Just
it's
be like,
kinda
oh,
weird
well,
that
it's
you
nice to
can't,
meet
like,
you,
enjoy
okay?
a nice meal.
I'm sorry this didn't work and I didn't mean to waste your
I feel
time.
like-
You have a
I
wonderful
feel like
life. I'm sorry.
Almost an uncomfortable situation for me because I don't know what to say,
Yeah.
right?
For you.
That's
too.
a better response. The swagger response is like, oh, okay, well, that's okay. You know, I'm glad we tried. You know, it was nice to meet you. You have a nice day. I've done this before. It's not that hard. Just like, oh, okay. Well, like, all right. Well, I'm just knocking at your door. Can you blame me? And, you know, the girl's gonna be like, no, I don't blame you. And it's like, sorry, apparently, you know, whatever. I don't get a lot of rejection, actually. Most of the time, the girl asks me. I don't know. I'm back on a dating app now. I just don't want to pay them their expensive ass money, but I probably will. Just not this month. This is a bad month. There's a deck claw inside of this airlock, and that seems really disturbing to me for some reason. Why? Well, let's get in there. Is he evil? I can't tell. It would be funny to give them all knives. It appears that they're not really tranking anybody. So now I just want to give them knives. Knives would be really funny, watching them all running around at targets with knives. That would be really funny. Let's do that. Get like 15 people running around with knives, so I have like assassins wherever I go. Fuck off. Ah, that guy hurt. But my shotgun hurts them more. Ah. Fuck off, asshole. I love this game. It's so visceral and sweet, like fucking Hotline Miami. Ah. Oh, that's what's hitting me? Okay. Fucking annoying. I love this game. It's so fun to just sit there and chain gun somebody. Fuck that guy. Fuck that asshole. Oh, yeah, you want a grenade fight? Okay, we can have a grenade fight. Say hello to my little friend, bitch. Oh. Say hello to my little friends. Fuck you. Don't. I love the battle in this game. Oh, I fucked him in his face so bad. I took his entire bar. Fuck that guy. He went down so quick. Fuck that guy. He was like a sub-boss. Ah, no. Oh. I love this shotgun. It's actually so good. I gotta remember the name of it. Okay, I have a lot of dead bodies to loot. I think it's a good time to do that. I gotta save. I've gotten so much progress. Yeah, loot everything. Look at this look on her face. She's like, I don't like you. You can't read it from the look on my face. You read the room, you idiot boomer, and let this girl bail gracefully, smile at her, and be like, can I buy you a taxi ride home or anything like that? Can I facilitate you leaving? That's what a real gentleman does. You'd be surprised. That's going to be a better response to be like, why? You don't like me? But you're so hot. And it's like, no, don't be a disgraceful. Don't like make it hard for her or whatever. Be like, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, well, this didn't work. That's okay. Can I facilitate you getting out of here somehow? And you're gonna make it into a joke. Be like, can I facilitate you getting out of here somehow? Can I buy you a taxi ride home or anything like that? I gotta get my phone right now. And like, and that's how you keep women from like thinking of you like badly, or whatever. That's, you don't ever put them on the spot. You don't ever ask them why. You just like, nope. Oh, this didn't work here. What are you going to do to change it? You going to beg them? No.
Well, yeah. I feel really strange.
Sorry.
Yeah, she's like, I feel really strange. It's weird that you're making me say it. You have no social grace or anything like that. A nice guy would be like, oh, okay, I'm so sorry. Can I buy you like a taxi ride home or anything? Is there anything I can do to get you out of here, like, that doesn't slow you down? I don't want to slow you down. Like, if you want to leave this situation, I'm all good. Can I get you a taxi ride out of here or anything like that? And that's what a normal nice guy says. It's not this thing about begging them or being like, why? Like a little temper tantrum child. He's also bad at being rejected.
All right, I'm gonna leave.
Are you gonna get a to-go box?
No, she didn't buy anything.
Oh, I'm just gonna leave.
All right, cool.
Thank
Bye. Oh, it's cringe. Poor girl. You'll find what you're looking for. Don't worry.
The place should be
There will be another high-powered dude who comes along who actually puts your heart aflutter. Don't worry.
Just a minute, I just talked to her.
She's good.
There's plenty of beautiful men or whatever, handsome men, and plenty of handsome fish in the sea, or whatever.
Yeah, no, she left.
She's gone? Like she left the date?
Hit on the waitress. Hit on the waitress right now. This girl is responding to you much, much better. Hit on the waitress. You're gonna do better with her. This girl's much, much more approachable. Hit on the waitress. Hit on the waitress right now. Oh my God, look at the smile on this girl's face. Can I buy you a drink? Can I buy you dinner? Or when do you get off? Can I buy you dinner? You're beautiful. I like this other girl so much more. The girl, she wasn't nice about it at the end. She could have been a little nicer. She'd be like, look, I don't mean to rub you the wrong way, dude, or whatever. This isn't working for me, so. But I don't want you to think that, like, I'm being mean about it or something. Like, is that cool? Just talk like a normal person. She was kind of like, bye, and that was like a little cringe, a little bit. Tiny bit. It seemed a little condescending, slightly. But I don't think it was uncalled for. Mr. Tiger. Talk about the tiger with this girl. Tell this girl about your tiger, your dream of owning a tiger. She might think it's cute. Oh my God, hit on the waitress and tell her your tiger story. She might think it's cute. Come on, the waitress probably doesn't think it's fucking economically unfeasible to buy a tiger. Tell her your tiger story. See if you can get her to laugh. Hey, she'll be like, why? Why did she leave you like that? Oh, I told her that I wanted to buy a tiger. And the waitress is like, ah, you're funny. And you know what they say about men who can make a girl laugh. Tell her your tiger story. It was funny, you fucking butts. Tell her your tiger story. Tell the waitress your tiger story. You're bad at dating.
I'm gonna take it for my buddy.
No. Talk about the tiger. You know why she got up. You mentioned the tiger. You should be like, I told her that I wanted a tiger. And laugh about it with her. I told her that I wanted a tiger. Then make it a joke and be like, try to get the waitress to laugh at least. You're not good at dating. You're not good at dating. How do you have this much money? How do you have this much money to buy that suit? It's weird. It's like Darwin ignored the rule.
My buddy loves salmon. In general, I think I enjoyed the...
You sit in a cubicle. You mentioned it. I think you sit in a cubicle for 14 years. That's your life. How else are you going to get that suit money, you suit dummy? If I'm going to a date like this, I think the suit might be a play, I guess, if she's expecting that and you're going to some restaurant where it's appropriate, yeah. Might be the play. Most times I'm going to dress exactly how I do every day, because if she thinks that you dress some other way, she's going to be really disappointed when she realizes what you actually dress like. And most men and women will tell you, and this is that thing about, like, but I've got better advice, right? Most women and men and women who run dating columns and shit like this, they're going to be like, no, wear the suit. It's way more impressive. It's way better message to send and all this, right? And I'll be like, no, dress how you do every day if you actually want to land the girl. Because if you show up in a suit, then you better start doing that every single fucking day. Or she's going to be like, he looked so good when I met him. But now he dresses like how he does every day, which is sweatpants and a shirt, which is what I wear. And so, yeah, if I'm showing up to a date, I'm going to wear the best pair of sweatpants and the best shirt that I own. And I'm going to show up looking crisp with my necklace and well-groomed and like I just been to the barber and stuff, you know. But I'm not wearing the suit dummy look, even if I am a cubicle slave, even if that's what I want to communicate to the girl, because I doubt that's how this guy dresses all the time. Also, you're wearing a girl's shirt. You're just not aware of it. And I don't understand why men are not aware of this. But usually V-neck shirts are for women. You don't really have a V-neck shirt, but it's effeminate. You might be gay. If you thought the effeminate shirt that you're wearing looked good in that mirror at the Nordstrom's, you might be homosexual and you just don't know it. Because anybody with a fucking penis, anybody with a penis that goes up for vagina isn't going to put on that V-neck shirt. This was my problem with Asmongold. Asmongold wears shirts like this all the time. And I was like, I don't care if he's gay. I care that his fashion sense is so fucking bad he wears girls' shirts.
Date for what it
and
was.
Maybe it's not a girl's shirt to you, but I know that I could get my best friends to laugh at this the way I'm trolling them. I know I can get my friends to full-blown laugh like your mama's joke. I can get my friends to laugh at you. I know I can. What do you want, kitty? Oh, yeah, I suppose it is dinner time, actually. Yeah, is it dinner time? Shall we feed you? Yeah. I will feed you. Don't worry, kitty. Tell that dude a story about your tiger. He might really think it's cute. Tell that dude with the glasses the story of your tiger. He might be more your type. This beautiful, smoking hot, like, whatever number sits down across the table from you, and you're like, oh my God, God has blessed me, or whatever. What's the first thing you say? I'm gonna buy a tiger one day.
I'm the type of person that I'll take a step back and I'll accept the environment that I'm in, and I'll find the great things that are in that environment, and I'll be very optimistic about it because I literally live by the premise that every single day is the new best day of my life.
I don't care about your premise, and it sounds like a lie from some kind of Jordan Peterson video. You putz.
Snapchat.
You're the putz.
Okay, I'm nervous.
Meet Jennifer, an entrepreneur who's been incredibly successful in business, but not so much in love.
So my friends call me the one date wonder. I have been on a lot of first dates, not very many second dates.
Please follow me.
You know that saying, I feel like I kissed a lot of frogs? I feel like I kissed a lot of turds, and I'm ready to find love.
So the first thing you say as you step in, and this goes for women too. You catch women doing stuff like this too. The first thing you say is you sit down in front of the dating show camera in this obviously fixed dating show. It's a fixed dating show. They want them saying one-liners to make you laugh, so just so they have, like, you know, ratings and stuff. But you're a woman. You sit down in front of the camera to do your dating show profile thing, and the first thing you say is, and I don't want to put words in her mouth.
And I'm ready to find love. Frogs. I feel like I kissed a lot of turds, and I'm ready to find love. A lot of frogs. I feel like I kissed a lot of turds.
She kisses a lot of frogs and a lot of turds.
And I'm ready to find.
She's a one-hit wonder.
Any second dates. A lot of first dates.
I don't do second dates. It's like every man's dream. These fucking rooms. At least she's honest, but these fucking rooms. You just told the whole known world that you don't like second dates. Have you actually thought about how dumb it is to say that? Oh my God.
Not very many second dates.
Not very many second dates, boys. I can't laugh. I've got broken ribs or whatever. Don't make me laugh. Kissing frogs, sucking on turds, and no second days. I thought Tiger was bad. I thought Tiger was bad, but you topped him. You absolutely did top him.
Please follow me.
You know that saying, I feel like I kissed a lot of frogs?
Oh.
I feel like I kissed a lot of turds.
Oh.
And I'm ready to find love.
Really just great.
I feel like I kissed a lot of turds. Saying, I feel like I kissed a lot of frogs. I feel like I kissed a lot of turds.
I can't believe she's saying it. It's better that she says it and not me. It would be really derogatory if I said it.
And I'm ready to find love.
Babe, I want you to think about the thing. Never mind, I'm being sexist. Like, I want you to think about the things that you're saying for the dating profile camera that are so sad and alarming about kissing turds and frogs before you even sit down with your date. It seems kind of crazy. It's like that. Usually, that would be the language you would use at the end of the date, not as you sit down at the table. I've kissed a lot of frogs and I've kissed a lot of turds, and that's there's this implication that you've slept with a lot of people. There's this implication that you don't make it to the second date, which is like, hey, we're predators of the fucking world or whatever. I'm an easy meal. There's the weird, disgusting metaphor that you used about kissing turds that really did make me think of you kissing a turd. It literally made me imagine it in my mind. It's weird. And yeah, I think, and also the pathology of the whole kissing frogs until you find the Prince Charming or whatever, I find it sort of psychologically disturbing. It's like dating is this game of, what is she referring to? The Frog Prince? It's like dating is like the Frog Prince for you. It's slightly alarming. She's beautiful. I don't think she needs to kiss turds. It seems sad that that's the case. Ah, babe. Dating is not the Frog Prince. You will find your prince, don't worry. I can't possibly be the more sane person here than these people. They have so much more money than me. How am I the sane person here?
I'm sure they will be here momentarily.
They better be.
Hit on him. Hit on him. That smile that he put on your face is far more like legitimate than the smile that your date's gonna put on your face. Hit on the bartender. I think she's used to that.
Jen's date is Michael.
Nope, they're not compatible. You can tell from the cold, dead look in his eyes. She's gonna need somebody a little bit more caring than this guy is.
I do imitations, yeah. Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm here on first dates looking for a beautiful woman that I can fall in love with. But if it doesn't work out, we can always train together.
He's an IT specialist who's looking for a strong woman who
What is with that shirt? Is there a button undone?
doesn't play games.
Oh my god, this guy is not playing games. He's like, well, if I'm dating, I show up looking impeccable. And I mean, if you were this dude, this is how you would approach it.
Good. How are
I
you?
find it honest, actually. It doesn't bother me how he's dressed. The other guy bothered me. This guy doesn't bother me. That seems like what this guy should wear. Yep. No issue with his dress. Which was odd that the first guy's suit bothered me so much. This guy, you would think that this bothered me. But no, honestly, really, it doesn't. It does not bother me, no. Like...
Confident women do not intimidate me. I prefer it.
Yeah, I see it.
like
I
women.
see it. Yeah, I see that. Although it comes across as creeper to say it. Don't say it out loud. You're like bragging about your prowess in the first few minutes. Not a good look. You know, real men don't need to brag.
With a good head on her shoulders. I don't really have a specific type. It's really about chemistry and energy. I do want to have a family. I do want to get married, but
This could be a successful date if she wasn't talking about kissing turds, and I wonder if it's going to get worse than that. Let's see. Oops. Is there a magazine? No, but there's like weapon crates and stuff. Ooh, rare laser rifle. A disassembler, Technophiles Advanced Orion.
I have prided myself in the past on not doing it too soon.
It's not good enough. Keep going.
What happens when a game releases and then years later it gets unreleased or delisted? This is something that happens surprisingly quite a bit, with digital storefronts just dropping games from time to time for various different reasons. And it's really weird. Now, in the past, we've explored a lot of games that have been shut down, but today we specifically want to take a look at other games, ones we didn't talk about in our shutdown video, because surprisingly enough, there's a lot of games that have been removed from various digital storefronts. And while most of this
You can hear
video
my
won't
dudes like
focus on
fighting
live
somebody
service
out there.
games, I just want to point out Anthem, a game that was supposed to be a really big deal and was in development for 8 years, and it released and then got abandoned, officially delists January 2026. So that's like a very, very soon one, or recent, depending on when you're watching this. Now, I do have to point out, Anthem was very, very hyped early on.
Everything you're about to see was captured in-game, running in real time. This is real. This is in-game.
In-game. Look at this. I'm getting some Horizon Zero Dawn vibes right there too.
Okay.
Anthem.
Okay. Yeah. New IP from BioWare.
This is fucking great.
Finally, fans of Destiny had a different option to kind of scratch that same type of itch. And Anthem does look ambitious from the early reveals. In this video, I was only going to give a passing mention to Anthem, but then I fell down this rabbit hole, and it is something else. I found a YouTuber named Astro Tater who went to the Anthem midnight launch, and there is some gold in this video, all things considered, knowing what we know now about how Anthem turned out.
Yeah, I can't wait. I played the beta.
You played the beta? Is it seem like a lot of fun?
It does. The gameplay was really smooth. The only, there were server issues, but it was a beta.
And how is the gliding? Because that's the biggest thing I'm super excited for, is the idea that you can literally fly around.
Yeah,
and do it.
favorite part of the
Smooth.
You just, so basically you jump and you hit sprint and you just take off.
Oh, that's awesome. And you can literally glide around the maps and
Yeah, you can
everything.
fly, yeah.
We just got back.
It's not that
from the
impressive.
ride, back from GameStop. We already got the downloadable codes here. We're about to go ahead and upload them onto the EA server.
Okay, so nowhere in this video does he actually show the physical version of Anthem. Wait, did he just buy just
Who
the
is
code
firing
for the game?
explosives
Did
in-
GameStop do that?
To be honest, I was surprised at the lack of people that came in with all the downloadable content nowadays. Like, not that many people show up. So if you guys like this video, please give it a like, a thumbs up. If you aren't subscribed, go and hit that subscribe button.
Okay, fine. I gotta say, in 2025, yeah, looking back at a video like this, it's funny, but I can't fault Astro Tater for being excited for a video game that he thought looked really good. If anything, it just shows how much EA dropped the ball with Anthem and how they abandoned players like this who are genuinely excited to give the game a shot. Let's talk about a really stupid one, because the amount of Minecraft additions that have existed
Yeah,
is
it's
actually
insane. It's
Then
like
we look at all of the
25.
different additions and realize
I
that
bought
the
like 5
majority
of
of them have been shut down and delisted.
There's the
Makes this an interesting case
magazine.
because, yes,
Listen, ever.
Wait, did you mess it up?
Which is just 2 weeks before New Order came out, and it's not been available ever since. I mean, you can still play the disc version, but...
Oh yeah, this is those streamers. This is the duo. It's Rocket Slot. It's like those two guys. Yeah, I remember these guys now. Yeah.
What happens when a game releases and then years later is inferior? And now you just...
So there's the magazine. It's a Varun Scripture 9 permanently increases sneak bonus by an additional 1% and melee sneak damage, attack damage by an additional 5%. Fuck yeah. Get out of it. I can't believe I found it so quickly. Look, I don't have to worry about the rest of these idiots. I can just leave, I think, actually. Yeah. So next up. There we go. Let's go. Oh, you messed up. Nah. I'm in combat, okay. Oh, you messed up, damn it. Alright, just reload. I don't know. No, it won't fix until I do the desktop load. So annoying.
Just can't play the console version unless you still have access to your account that you purchased it on. But you can't buy new versions on any of the storefronts of these old console versions. This is just unbelievably stupid. The amount of
yeah, I bought
editions
5
of Minecraft that would be introduced and then abandoned.
There's one of the versions I bought, that Minecraft PlayStation 4 edition. It was $20.
Time you could have an entire shelf of just delisted Minecraft games that are no longer available because they would be replaced with something else or just removed because
Minecraft's not even that good. It was super good the first 5 years, but then it was just totally overtaken by the industry.
They gave up on it. So we need to definitely talk about Activision in this video because during the late 2000s and early 2010s, Activision was kind of awful with some of the licensing deals that they made for games as far as longevity is concerned. Maybe this wasn't something that game publishers really thought too much about, like with the rise of digital game sales, what happens when a license expires. But as you'll see in this video, Activision's one of the worst offenders of some of these deals that they made. Like for instance, the way the entire Transformers video game trilogy made by High Moon Studios ended up. So starting in 2010, Transformers War for Cybertron released, which was a third-person shooter game made by High Moon Studios and published by Activision. I think for the most part, people who liked Transformers were probably pretty positive towards at least the first 2 games. They did have some high scores. The third one, not so much. But the game must have sold really well because Hasbro, who owned the rights obviously to Transformers, actually had made a statement that the first game, War for Cybertron, was the most highly rated critical success of any game that has had the Hasbro brand yet, and they were looking forward to the sequel that would come out in 2012. But now in present day, if you wanted to play these games and buy them online without getting like a physical copy and an Xbox 360 or PS3 all set up and going through all those hoops, you can't. You see, back in December of 2017, Hasbro's licensing deal with Activision expired. As a result, digital storefronts like Steam, PlayStation Store, and Xbox Store removed the games because Activision no longer had the legal permission to sell them. This is going to be something recurring that you see often here in this video. This one's a little interesting. There were a lot of rumors circulating around after the delisting that Activision somehow lost the source code to the game, which meant a re-release in the future could...
That's what happened to Final Fantasy 11, I think, and I'll show you. I remember hearing that Square Enix had a fire that destroyed the source code for Final Fantasy 11. Is that a rumor or is that true? While there's no record of a fire destroying FFXI's source code, the rumor likely stems from the following confirmed facts. They've lost code for other titles. Square Enix has officially confirmed that the source code for other major titles such as Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy VIII, and Final Fantasy Tactics was lost or overwritten shortly after their original releases. For example, in 2025, director Kazu Toyo My Hero revealed that Final Fantasy Tactics source code was lost because they would simply overwrite old code. FFXI devs have frequently stated that the game's core architecture, often called spaghetti code by the community, is extremely difficult to modify without breaking other systems. Furthermore, because the game was originally built for the PlayStation 2, they're still forced to use outdated PS2 dev kits to create new content, leading to rumors that the original tools or code are lost. Okay, now... Is it possible for Square Enix to remaster Final Fantasy XI? You know, there is, I have a copy of FFXI. Maybe I should just play that. I don't know. No, it's not modern enough.
Never possibly happen, but I think that ended up getting debunked mostly. But if we were to ever see these games somehow playable, there would have to be a new deal struck between Hasbro and Activision, and I don't know if Activision has enough incentive to want to do that. Maybe
like
with
Rocket Soft.
Microsoft being
They're pretty
involved.
good.
Nah, they're dumb. They're not going to do it. So besides Transformers,
No, they're
there's
dumb. They're
also
not gonna do it.
Wolfenstein, the 2009 release. Luke's going to talk about this one, so Luke, take it away.
I own
We
that
talked
game.
about Wolfenstein 2009 recently in our forgotten Xbox 360 era games, and I just want to say again that this was an interesting game, and I very much enjoyed it back in the day. It was developed by Raven Software and published by Activision and released on PC, PS3, and Xbox 360. This was actually
It was an
banned in
okay
Germany,
game. It was an interesting game because they start out and they ammo starve you with just a pistol and a shotgun. You got to work your way all the way up the whole tier of all the weapons as you kill zombies and Nazis and all that stuff on the way. And they give you this piece of a key that you have to go all over Nazi Berlin or something to get. And as you get each piece, it's like a piece of a gun. And when you finish it, it's like this crazy superpowered BFG weapon that kills everything in the level or whatever. And that, I didn't think that was that bad of a premise, actually. It was like all the reasons you ran the dungeon was to get the most powerful weapon in the game. It wasn't that bad of a premise. And I like the laser that they give you because it just jibbed everything in the fucking game. It tore their limbs off and just chopped everything in the game apart. It was such a good weapon. It was, you know, like, and I did enjoy beating Wolfenstein because when you get the laser at the end, it's kind of worth it. Makes it a little more worth it than most single player games to be, but it wasn't that good of a game. It was alright. It was playable. I beat it.
I still somehow managed to get a copy.
I know I beat it because I fully built the laser, you know, and that's beating it. That's what beating the game is.
On it, and it was a very wild game for me to play at the time, actually. Nonetheless, shortly before the game was released, ZeniMax, the parent company of Bethesda, bought the rights to Wolfenstein as a franchise, like the full IP. Obviously, Wolfenstein 2009 at that point was already done and developed, and they were gonna let the game release and be available for a while, since they're, I guess, still making money of it.
I feel like video games are the new Hollywood, and I'm like the #1 Hollywood fan now, and I know everything there is to know about video games almost because I religiously just research them. And it's weird. I wish there was a better opportunity for money in the industry than being like some hacky fucking reporter or some online blogger or something like that, or some streamer or content creator. I wish there was some way to just like make $100,000 a year just learning about video games, be like a video game historian, see if I can get a grant or something. But it's like, I don't know, can I get a grant for video game restoration and preservation or something? It's kind of weird, but yeah.
Since they now own the IP. But right after they bought the rights, they also put Machine Games on track to make a new Wolfenstein game that would eventually become a reboot with the New Order, which eventually was ready
Which was a bad game. Like a confirmed bad game. I didn't think this was a good game. And they kept making sequels too, which was weird. But never underestimate the Milsim's heavy desire to shoot Nazis in boomer shooters. That's always been a big attraction.
For May 2014 release. And with that, they probably choose to delist.
It was very green. Do you see the green? Yeah, but I was about to say, I remember it being saturated a particular color of green. There it is.
To avoid confusion with their reboot timeline. So on May 5th of 2014, the game was delisted everywhere, which is just 2 weeks before New Order came out, and it's not been available ever since. I mean, you can still play the disc version, but you cannot buy it anymore. It's actually a very hard game to play. Now, I was looking at the Steam charts of this for some reason, and I saw there was like new pictures added like this year, and some trailers replaced. I'm like, huh? What's going on? So I don't know. Are they trying to gear up for a relisting? Did I miss something? but I couldn't find any official announcement, just people speculating about the same thing, I guess, that I found on the Steam page. But ZeniMax and Activision are both owned by Xbox now, so I guess now would be the time to
makes
relist.
sense, yeah.
So I guess fingers crossed.
Here's another game that was just a few years after Wolfenstein, Deadpool. There was a 2013 Deadpool game developed by, once again, High Moon Studios, who did the Transformers game trilogy, and once again published by Activision. But this time...
I am going to cook my dinner now while this Starfield logo goes and all this, and I will listen to this video and be right back. I'm going to put it full screen while I do so.
Around, this deal was
Gonna
between
go cook some
Activision
meatballs.
and Marvel,
I'll be right
and once
back.
again, it was a timed distribution deal, which meant that eventually it would expire and the game would have to be removed from all storefronts. So ultimately, the licensing deal expired, and Deadpool, alongside a bunch of other Marvel games that you can see on your screen here, we're not going to talk about every single one that got delisted, because a lot did, ended up getting delisted. But Deadpool was like kind of a popular character, and this ended up becoming a really sought-after game after the game was delisted, and prices for the game kind of shot up on platforms like eBay and Amazon and whatnot. But then there was some other stuff going on because there was a Deadpool movie coming out, and Activision was like, yo, we can just bank off of this with that game that we made, but we have to make another deal. So they ended up getting a relicense from Marvel to remaster the game for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Steam, and they re-released it digitally. But even in that deal, to get the rights to the Deadpool game again to distribute, they didn't do a long-term deal. So the re-release was actually a temporary deal, so the game ended up getting delisted a few years later in 2017. Again, due to the same issues, because the licensing was set to expire again, and they just did these really short-term deals. So for this Deadpool game, as of now, there's no legal way to buy the game digitally on any major storefront. The only reliable way to play the game is with a physical disc, like a second-hand game or whatever, in the legal sense. Now, it doesn't mean these games are gone forever, though, because in 2024, about a year ago, there was some interesting stuff that like the community was talking about. Weirdly enough, Activision rolled out various Steam updates. Deadpool and Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2, Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, and those Transformer games we talked about earlier were all updated with the change list, just saying that there was a store screenshot added. Could this mean that behind the scenes, Activision is thinking about getting these games relicensed and available on digital marketplaces again? I don't know. It is a weird thing, but like sometimes this stuff just happens and it might not mean anything. I mean, Microsoft has done this before. They've gone pretty far with working on games that they didn't have the license to. Like, they did an entire remaster of GoldenEye back in the day for the Xbox Live Arcade, and then they realized they wouldn't be able to secure the rights, so the game just got canceled, and then that later got leaked. So, like, this is the same company at this point, so I don't know if this is indicative of the game being re-released. It's just an interesting nuanced thing that happened. Y'all remember Flappy Bird? This was an interesting one. This was just a mobile game that came out, and it took the world by storm in 2014. It was a simple game. You tap the screen, you make the bird go, and you try not to die, and you get real angry when you die. And this was like a viral thing. I mean, there were videos of people raging at Flappy Bird, like everybody was playing it, and the single developer who worked on the game, Dong Nguyen, a Vietnamese game developer, got really stressed out with how popular and famous the game ended up getting pretty much immediately. And he was upset with how addicted people were getting to his game. Now, it's rumored that the game was making like $10,000 a day, and then other sources were like, yo, he's getting way too stressed out that he's making too much money. I don't think that that necessarily was the case. I think just the popularity of the game, the spotlight being on him, probably was the more overwhelming thing, not necessarily the 10K a day. Nonetheless, Dong Nguyen, going through it, famously posted saying that he thinks that the game had become a problem, so to solve the problem, he just delisted his own game. Oh, wait, it was $50,000 a day that he was making? Why did he take the game down? That's so much money. Okay, well, sorry, I said it wrong in the video. I just want to leave the revelation in instead of just editing it out and re-recording the lines. $50,000 a day. I guess when you have that much money, it could get stressful if you have the spotlight on you. I don't know. I've never made that much money in a day before. Nonetheless, the game became undownloadable on iOS and Android in February of 2014, but phones that had the game installed could still play them. And then people started selling their phones on eBay, trying to sell them for thousands of dollars if they had Flappy Bird on it. eBay ended up delisting some of those listings, so that's like a double delisting there. And after Flappy Bird released, Nguyen did say that one day he would consider putting the game back on the marketplace, but he never ended up doing it. He just kind of released some other games that he had worked on. One of them being a sequel to Flappy Bird called Flappy Bird's Family. This one was released around the same time that the first one was delisted, so I think it was probably in the works before, and then it released exclusively on Amazon Fire TV. He probably just delisted his games from everything, and then, I don't know, maybe forgot about Amazon Fire TV, or I don't know, like, who cares on Amazon Fire TV? He probably wasn't sweating it.
What if I told you there was a game, there was a prequel to John Wick, and actually showed you what his life was like when he still worked for the Tarasov mob as Baba Yaga? But what if I told you the game looked like this? Yeah. This is John Wick Hex, and it takes place before the movies, and it's like a tactical RPG chess type game, and not a shooter, which I think would make the most sense for a John Wick game, but I guess I'm not Bithell Games who made this. The plot evolves around some random mission that they made up that John Wick goes on, and not like that last mission that he did before he retired, which would actually be the interesting thing. Also, there's no dog companion because he hasn't met his wife yet, so there's also no dog. They did get the real actors of Winston and Sharon to do the voices for the game, and I guess you also learn some more about those characters, but I don't know if that makes this game better. I mean, this is not what anyone expected from a John Wick game, I think, and the ratings for this were pretty low. The game was originally released on Mac and Windows in 2019, and then PS4, Switch, and Xbox One in 2020. Originally, it was published by Good Shepherd Entertainment, but earlier this year, the publishing rights switched to Big Fan Games, which is like a sister company to the original publisher. But then on July 17, 2025, the game was delisted everywhere and cannot be purchased anymore. They didn't give an official reason for the removal, but it's very likely that they lost the rights to the John Wick IP and didn't renew it. Probably because the game sucked anyways and nobody wanted to play it. Maybe one day we could get an actual John Wick game, like a proper one that's in the style of like Doom or Wolfenstein. I don't know, that could be cool.
Tony Hawk's actually a really interesting game series. After the game like maybe oversaturated its own market with yearly releases, even if the games were good, I think Tony Hawk popularity was declining. Then they did some like weird ride mechanic games. What was this? So after a little bit of a break with that, Activision was like, hey, let's try something else with Tony Hawk. Let's do a remake that's not really a remake, but it's like a arcade type game. Thus, Tony Hawk Pro Skater HD released, which isn't the same thing as the 2020 remake. This was a remake before the remake, but wasn't really a remake. It just had maps from the first two Tony Hawk games. Not all of them, just some of them. It's just a little bit of a weird one. I don't know. This game wasn't as fulfilling as a regular Tony Hawk game. It seemed like some things were watered down. Then on top of that, some of the mechanics maybe weren't as fluid. And then to make matters worse, things like split screen were cut from the game, which was a big part of the original Tony Hawk game. There wasn't a park creator, which was in the original. And then the soundtrack wasn't even the full soundtracks from the original two games. It was like half songs from the old games.
Yeah, this sucked.
Half new songs, something that they would continue to do with the remakes in Tony Hawk 1 and 2 and later on Tony Hawk 3 and 4. I don't know why they do this. They should just kind of dish out the extra money and pay for the expensive songs. I'm sorry, I'm saying it. It's Activision. What's their worth? Let's look at this. This is how much the company is worth. They can afford to license some more expensive songs. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna say it. This game bombed mostly across Metacritic reviews, 66 out of 100. Not the best. I actually picked this one up back in the day. I think I still have it tied to my Xbox account. If I load up my 360, I can play it. But outside of that, the game officially was delisted in 2017. There was a PC release of this game, and that also ended up getting delisted as well. I think there was a PS3 version that came out a little bit after the 360 went out, and that also is delisted. So it seems like the main reason this got delisted was because of a licensing issues with songs. Something that's a recurring theme in this video, and it happened again here. Now, Luke, I know we aren't really the most active on our Discord server.
Yep.
Something we should change at some point, I'm sure, but what I find really interesting is that one of the few times we did jump into just our open voice chat in our Discord server, some random guy joined, didn't have a mic or anything, but all he streamed was his gameplay of Call of Duty Black Ops Zombies for the iPhone.
I remember that.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, and didn't we do this like a couple times and he joined back like multiple times?
I know actually exactly what we were doing. We were getting footage and exploring the Ironclad map in Call of Duty 3, where there was that like secret Easter egg that's still undiscovered. And we were in there, like we were just walking around, seeing if anybody had any ideas. And he was just playing away on zombies. Crazy times, right? Now, what's really interesting is I was an early adopter of the Call of Duty Zombies app for iOS back in the day. And this is a wild, wild game because it was actually really, really good for an iPhone in 2009. Okay, so there were 2 Zombies apps that were released back then. Call of Duty Zombies, which released November 16th, 2009, 6 days after the release of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, and it was the first Zombies map from Call of Duty World at War, the previous Call of Duty game, but made for iPhone. It had a different developer, but it was licensed through Activision, and it would work on iPod Touch, iPhone, and maybe iPad down the road. Really cool. It did cost money. There was like I think a light version where you could like play the tutorial or something. Wait, was it really $10?
I just found a screen recording of me recording the guy streaming it to us.
Wait, you actually have a screen recording of it?
I clipped it, yeah.
Oh, dude, hell yeah. That's so good, dude. See, that's why it's good to clip these things, because you never know when I'm just going to randomly think of that. Because I didn't even have that planned. I was going to talk about it until, like, literally I just started talking. So I'm trying to figure out what the pricing was for Call of Duty Zombies, specifically. It had a couple of different names. They kept rebranding it. It was Call of Duty Zombies, but for a while it was Call of Duty World at War Zombies, and then it was Call of Duty Zombies, but all capital letters. I don't know. But at some point, the game was $10, and then they changed the price down to $5. And then they also would release new maps over time, and you could purchase those for $5 each. And they also released Call of Duty World at War Zombies 2, which was the original, but it came with Shinonuma, the 3rd map, and not the original Knockdown Toten. So you could save $5 technically if you started there, but you could still get Knockdown Toten for that version of the game for $5. It's a mess, which is maybe why it got delisted. Nonetheless, surprisingly enough, like I said, it played kind of well. It supported 2-person Bluetooth co-op and 4-person online co-op. The
on a
only
cell
thing
phone
that
or
was
like a
different,
tablet?
besides like everything, was the fact that you couldn't sprint in this version, but all of the zombie speeds were adjusted so that your walking speed is as if you're sprinting, which I think actually works pretty well. I don't know, I was always impressed with how well it translated. It wasn't like perfect one-to-one, but like, this is impressive for 2009. And then eventually they made all the previous maps free, but if you already spent money on it, you don't get a refund. They went all the way through and ported all 4 Call of Duty World at War Zombies maps: Knockdown Toten, Verrucht, Shinonuma, Der Riese. Did I say those all correct? They're all German.
Wait, Shinonuma is not German?
Well, sorry, that one's Japanese.
Close enough, I guess.
Okay, how would you say them?
You say it again. So we got
Knockdown Toten,
Knockdown Toten,
Verrucht, Shinonuma. See, that one was pretty good. And Der Riese. That was pretty good, right?
Yeah, it was pretty close.
You know how many people like criticized me in one of our Call of Duty videos for saying like I was so off on Der Riese?
No, that's pretty close. Yeah.
Like, it's called Der Riese.
It's so close to Die Rise, dude. Don't remind me of Die Rise. I mean, suck.
Oh, dude, we're gonna spend 12 hours on Die Rise again because someone keeps knocking us offline. So, okay, but here's the thing. So that was cool and all, especially for something coming out after World at War was already kind of done because Modern Warfare 2 was out. But then after Call of Duty Black Ops, they did Call of Duty Black Ops Zombies. The same idea for iOS again with the same studio, but they were going to start doing the Black Ops maps, and they started with Kino der Toten. How's my German?
That was good, yeah. Kino der Toten.
Oh, let's go. Now this one's interesting because right away you'll notice they didn't take 5 and do a version of that, and they did have Dead Ops Arcade, which, okay, cool. And they added Ascension in an update, and then they also later on did Call of the Dead Director's Cut. And these released in 2012, which was right before Black Ops 2 released. It was during the Modern Warfare 3's life cycle. And I thought they would have done 5, and I thought they would have done Shangri-La and Moon,
This
but
isn't really
they just
my
never
style
did.
of stuff.
They just gave up and stopped. But the Black Ops one did have voice chat. I don't know how that went. I never did it, but if it had it, still, nonetheless, it was really, really cool. And I mean, they went as far as Call of the Dead before giving up on it. I don't know why they didn't just like finish it out, but I mean, I guess money runs out. Now, I think overall, these games got delisted mostly because upkeep with iOS constantly evolving just changed, and I think they would have had to continuously try to fix it. And I think even today, if you're playing these games on like more modern iPhones, because if you bought them back in the day, you can still re-download your purchases. They definitely don't run as smoothly. It's a little bit less stable. So I guess they ended up just abandoning it. I think they did a like special remake version, like re-release version somewhere in there, but it didn't stick around long. Ubisoft is a company that we're going to talk about in this video, that's for sure. We can talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Turtles in Time Reshelled. It's a remake that came out in 2009 of the classic 90s beat-em-up game, also called Turtles Turtles in Time that was released on the Xbox 360 through the Xbox Live Arcade and PlayStation 3 with the PlayStation Network. The remake here featured re-rendered 3D graphics, updated audio, and it was available digitally for a grand ol' like 2 years before it got delisted due to an expired license, because Ubisoft had just acquired the rights to TMNT, and I guess they only decided to do it for 2 years for a game that they were only going to release digitally, which is really weird to me, but I guess back then digital sales weren't as commonplace. Weird though, right? Another Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, TMNT Out of Shadows, first released in 2013. It was like a hack and slash action adventure game where you could play as the Turtles, but in 2017 it was delisted due to Activision's license to publish TMNT.
Looks like shit, but maybe with lossless it might be really good.
Games expiring once again. Activision just going at it. I don't know. There's also Amazing Spider-Man games released. You know, not a lot of people talk about the Amazing Spider-Man games that came out around the time as the Andrew Garfield movies, but from what I understand, they were actually like kind of okay. They're developed by Beanox, and mind you, I think it's interesting. Beanox, the Activision developer, and High Moon, who did the Transformer games we talked about earlier, and Deadpool, and all had their games delisted, now are like the big support studios for Call of Duty. There's so many support studios for Call of Duty. So both of these games were published under Activision with a license through Marvel. However, once again, Activision lost legal rights to continue selling the game, so the games got delisted in 2017.
Another company that did try to hop on with like some digital releases during the Xbox 360 arcade era was Sega. Sega actually tried to port some of their titles from franchises of classic arcade games to the PS3 and Xbox 360, and they were all like $10 each.
Yeah,
they were like mostly
Crazy
older
Taxi,
games
Virtua
with some
Fighter.
enhancements. Like for example, in 2009 they released Outrun Online Arcade, which was an enhanced version of Outrun 2006 Coast to Coast, and it featured a bunch of tracks and newly licensed Ferrari cars. It was released on Xbox 360 Arcade in 2009 and only came to PS3 in Europe. And this is speculation by me, but I think the licensing with Ferrari, who are known to be very protective of their brand, must have been very restrictive and very short term. And that is the reason why it, first of all, only came out in Europe on the PS3, and second, why the game was delisted on PS3 just 1 year after its release. The Xbox 360 version did get 1 more year, but was also delisted in 2011. Then they also released Afterburner Climax, which is another Sega franchise that dates all the way back to the arcade days. And Afterburner Climax initially was a 2006 arcade release for the franchise, but they later released it to Xbox Live and the PlayStation 3 store in 2010 and iOS and Android in 2013. In 2014 though, the Xbox and PlayStation versions were pulled from the store, and the mobile versions were removed in 2015 as well. And once again, it seems like they licensed some real-life stuff, like the aircrafts and stuff, and the license ran out and they had to pull it. The next one is actually kind of a mystery why it got pulled. But Daytona USA released as an enhanced version on the 360 and PS3, and they even added new features like multiplayer support with up to 8 players. They added new songs and new modes to the game, and it was a pretty good version. Like, people consider this to be the best version of the game. And the 360 version was even made backwards compatible later on with Xbox One at some point, which then also meant you could play it on Series X and Series S as well when that came out. But randomly in 2023, specifically just the Xbox version was pulled, and allegedly you can still buy it on PS3, though I couldn't fully confirm that. But I didn't find anyone else denying it. I just found people claiming that you can still play it. So if it's still available on PlayStation 3 for sale, it is really weird that they would just pull it from one platform, because that doesn't seem like it would be a licensing issue, right? If they can still sell it on a different platform. No idea what happened with the Xbox version, and no idea. I mean, if both versions are pulled, then it's probably licensed. But if it's just the Xbox version that got pulled, then I would say it's a pretty big mystery on why just this version.
Now, there are a few other less notable examples of games that have been delisted. We can mention them briefly, like everything on Nintendo, like the 3DS and Wii U that were digital only published through them. All of that's delisted because the eShops closed down. Also, Sonic the Hedgehog used to have some of its games posted where you could buy them digitally, and those got delisted. So certain games that you would think you would be able to just buy digitally easily, like Sonic 2006, you can't, because I guess they decided all of a sudden, we're going to have a threshold as to how bad a game can get before we keep selling it. they're not going to imply that threshold when the game comes out, but a couple of years later, they'll only just sell the best of the best. I wish I could just play Sonic 06 on my Xbox Series. That'd be a lot nicer than having to like boot up on the 360. Why am I doing this to myself?
The Simpsons had a popular beat-em-up arcade game in the early 90s, which was later ported to MS-DOS and Commodore 64. It was one of those 4-player arcade cabinets. Like,
yeah, that was such a good game.
You know, 4 joysticks, and everyone has their own buttons and stuff. And those 2 ports that I just mentioned were the only versions that you ever got to play this game at home. But almost 20 years later, it was announced that this game would be coming to Xbox 360 Arcade and PlayStation 3 Digital. It was kind of cool for this to come back after such a long time. And this re-release also had some minor bonus content that they added that you could view in-game, like character art, original manuals, and advertisements from different countries like Japan. But in December 2013, the game was delisted randomly without any announcement or reason given. And on Xbox, it had just been on sale for 50%, like a few days before this delisting. So people were confused, and I mean, what probably happened is that the license from Fox expired, and they must have had a really short licensing agreement because it released at the beginning of 2012 and got delisted at the end of 2013, and it's just like less than 2 years, which seems super short. I have 2 Nintendo Switch versions of games, but they are kind of like live service games, so they break our little rule about not mentioning live service games too much, right? But we haven't talked about them before, so I think I can go here. And the first one is Vigor. You remember when we played Vigor on the Xbox?
Wait, it's gone?
Well, just a Nintendo Switch version.
Wait, there was a Nintendo Switch version?
This was the closest thing you could get to playing Tarkov on console, I guess. And we played it a little bit. It was something. It was okay. Not too bad. And then eventually a Switch version came out in 2020. And they got a good amount of support for a few years. And there was multiple seasons and updates.
Oops. Did I pause it? Yeah, I did.
And it was of course free to play like the other platforms. But at the end of 2024, it was announced that they would no longer support the Switch version starting sometime next year. And reasons for this were mostly like the technical limitations of the Switch, and they just wanted to put development time into other things, I guess. So with Season 21, they started giving Switch players like a bunch of free stuff like double XP, etc, etc. And they repeated that with Season 22. But after Season 23, the game was completely inaccessible to players that had it installed, and it was also removed from the eShop, and it cannot be re-downloaded either. But there's another Switch version of a game that we've played before that I found, and that is Payday 2.
You can't buy it?
No, you can't buy it anymore. So the Nintendo Switch version of Payday 2 was also delisted just last year, and they released that in 2018 for the Switch, which after I looked into it a little bit, it was 5 years after the PC release and 3 years after the other console releases, which I mean makes sense since the Switch came out in 2017. What does not make much sense is that the Switch launch version was based on the 2016 PC version. So they released a 2016 version of the game for Nintendo Switch in 2018, which meant there was like a ton of features, content, optimization, and stuff like that missing. And in 2019, they did drop update support for the Nintendo Switch, saying that it takes too much time to bring new updates over to the Switch. And they didn't make that port, they had it outsourced, so like they didn't really know what they were doing, I guess.
I think I remember looking into Payday 2 on Switch because I wanted a game to play on the Switch. Because early on, it felt like there weren't that many games on the Nintendo Switch. And Payday 2 didn't have like voice chat, and I feel like it's a game that you kind of need to communicate when you're playing like with friends. And there was some weird stuff with the online too. I don't remember all the details, but I just remember thinking, wow, this is kind of a useless version of a game. Why would I ever play this?
Yeah, why would you play a team shooter without comms?
And like they dropped support in 2019, but they only delisted it in 2024. But they still would sell like this broken, very bad version for like years until they finally pulled it.
Dang, I feel bad. If you purchased Payday 2 on Nintendo Switch, please leave a comment letting us know what your experience was like and how great it was. What's going to be funny is people are going to look to the comments and there's going to be not a single comment about anybody who owned Payday on Nintendo Switch.
I don't know anyone who bought Payday on the Switch. I don't know why you would buy these inferior versions of old games on the Switch, like just
because, and this is a real thing. The more Asian, for instance, or even Indian, or even Middle Eastern your tradition or family or upbringing is, the less likely your parents are to let you use certain devices depending on how many adult games are on that device. And there was a lot of kids in the world who were only given a Switch who really want to play Payday 2. Not a lot, probably maybe 10,000, but there is something like 10,000. We know because they buy games. There's like 10,000 like kids at any given time in the world that are conscripted to some old console that will do things like buy Payday 2. Yeah, we know they exist. They're there.
All you have is a Switch.
I guess so.
Poor people.
So this is a topic we talked about already a bit in this video.
Not just
where
poor
in general,
people, but
we've seen a lot of games get delisted.
Also uptight parents. Parents who don't believe in anything but Nintendo, so they'll force their kids. And I've met people like this. My twos partner, his dad would not let him use anything on Windows except World of Warcraft, and would not let him have anything but a Switch because they were just a more traditional family. They believed in products that they thought were only aimed at kids, that sort of thing.
Listed for licensing issues. A lot
He's
of
the
time
sort of
it's
person who
soundtrack
would have bought
related,
Payday
but
2.
Sometimes it's not necessarily soundtrack related, and while we looked into some of those examples, there's more examples that are a little quirky, like Driver San Francisco, a part of the Driver series, which I've talked about this before. I was a
I love
Driver kid. I'm probably the only person to say that, but we had a PlayStation 1, it was in my brother's room, and we had Driver, the game where you are the wheelman. The game was insane. If you're looking at gameplay footage on your screen, look at how graphically impressive this is for a PlayStation 1 game. This is before Grand Theft Auto went third person. This is years before that. It was incredible. And then later on, I got Driver 2. And the big thing about Driver 2, not only was the fact that there was multiple discs, which was always really annoying, but it was the fact that you could get out of your vehicle and get in other vehicles. The groundbreaking technology. Now, if you go back and play those games nowadays, they don't really hold up that well. I've spent a little bit of time on both Driver 1 and Driver 2 within the last couple of months. They weren't really good. But back in the day, they were incredible. Driver just continued to get iterations over the years, and they weren't really ever all that good. It always felt like they had an ambitious idea and then didn't know what to do with it, and just kind of got tossed aside. And this is of course helmed by good old Ubisoft, which I'm sure you've seen examples in this video about them. But Driver San Francisco is interesting because I think the reason that this game got delisted could be related to the soundtrack in the game.
These
Not
meatballs
ruling
are
that one
really
out,
good.
but there's a little more speculation because when it comes to vehicles and whatnot, it can get a little more complicated because if they use real car manufacturers and models and likenesses in games, they have to continue to renew the license if they're in a timed contract, unless they spend extra money to get like a lifelong contract or something like that. And I don't think they wanted to do that specifically for Driver San Francisco, so the game ended up getting delisted. But yeah, Driver San Francisco was a big deal at the time because they boasted the fact that they had over 120 officially licensed real-world vehicles. We kind of backfired with the longevity of the game. Yeah, kind of interesting. I would have liked to be able to easily go back and play a Driver game. Even the newer ones that I haven't gotten to experience, but it's so much work going on eBay to find like a used copy. If it was just like on the Xbox Marketplace or Steam or something, I'd probably try it. But emulation's getting better, and you can't buy the games, so not saying to emulate these types of games, but you should think of your options maybe.
It's funny that you bring up Driver San Francisco, that it got delisted because of the car licensing, because Forza is another series that constantly has games delisted because of this, and I counted between Forza Horizon and Forza Motorsport, there have been 13 games in total.
13?
Yeah, they've made 13 games since 2005 between Motorsport and Horizon.
How many have been delisted?
11 out of 13.
11?
Yes. They all got roughly delisted 3 to 5 years after their releases, and it's for the same reason as Driver San Francisco, you know, music license and real-world car licenses that expired. Obviously, if you bought the disc back in the day, you can still play it, but you can't buy it anymore. The only ones you can buy right now is Forza Horizon 5 and that Motorsport reboot from 2023. That's all. 11 out of 13 games just gone. There's actually one...
That was good. I played it on stream. It's okay.
Thing that came up in 2022, and Xbox accidentally relisted Forza Horizon 1 for a very short time, and they pulled it very quickly, but it was for sale. Like, again, I don't actually know if people who bought it did get to keep the copy, because I mean technically it's illegal for them to sell with the license expiring and stuff.
That's really interesting though, because I'm now thinking of other games like Madden. I do realize that they delist their games after a few years. At first I thought it was just because of like the game just being outdated and they just want to not clutter the store, but I bet you it had something to do with music licensing, right?
Yeah, that too, and like the player license, and I was actually looking into that, and I was gonna bring that up later, but I looked at like WWE games, and you know, they have like a huge amount of games, and I looked at WWE 2K23, and it came out in March of 2023, and it got delisted in November.
What? March, April, May, June, July, August, September, November. What is that, like 7 months?
Of 2024, which
Who is
like
buying these piece of crap wrestling games still?
20 months after its release. And I was like, damn, that seems very short.
Yeah.
But then like I looked into Madden and FIFA and I realized the 23 versions of all of them aren't available
Yeah,
anymore.
like no, they stopped like offering
digitally,
them.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They took them all down, and I just never realized how quickly that is. But yeah, it's probably music and maybe the player. But I feel like even back in the day, the digital versions used to be up for way longer. I don't know, at least like a couple years, not like 20 months.
Yeah, now I'm starting to wonder, like, is this, like, licenses exist out there where a company can buy the rights to the song and keep the game listed for a long time, right? Like, I feel like this is something that's not universally applied to every video game that uses licensed music, right? But I just can't think of examples of games, like older games that haven't had to deal with music licensing expiring. I'm trying to think of like long games that haven't had to be delisted that used licensed music.
No, it was a bad plan.
Yeah, you can still buy Saints Row 2, can't you? So they must have bought the license or like had a deal with where they could use.
Oh, I have to reload again. Something about opening the map. Yeah, something about opening the map, I guess. Fucking annoying.
The license for that game specifically as it is, because you can still buy Saints Row 2 on like Steam and stuff, right?
Yeah, I just double checked too. Yeah, you definitely can. So they definitely must have had a better licensing agreement than all these other companies. Maybe it's cheaper if you don't go for the long license.
I mean, obviously, that's what I think it is. That's my theory, is that they just want to cut corners, save money, and they don't care about like longevity on a lot of these games. So they just do the limited time license. I am curious with Activision's track record of this. Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War used a ton of licensed music, like in the menus and in the game. I wonder if that game ends up getting a version where the music gets patched out when the license expires, if they're on a limited time, or if they paid the extra buck for it. Now, similarly to the issue we saw with Driver San Francisco and Forza, the same thing can be said for other video game series as well. I think the same things ended up happening with the entire PGR series. They all ended up getting delisted over the years, and that's crazy because that was like a big selling title that Microsoft had. Like, it was Gran Turismo on PlayStation, Microsoft had PGR, and then they had Forza and they were like, yeah, forget it. But it's not like they treated licensing any different, because look at what happened with Forza. And then also, I think some of the Need for Speed games have also dealt with this same exact issue over the years. It happens a lot. We don't need to go into every single one. There's other racing and car related games I think that also maybe had this. We should look into Midnight Club. We've never talked about Midnight Club on this channel. I don't think we've ever said those two words together.
I love Midnight Club. It has such good music.
Really popular game. Never got a chance to play it as a kid.
Midnight Club 3 was so fucking... 2 and 3 were both fucking so good. 2 was really good.
Friend, though, who was really obsessed with Midnight Club 3? Is that the best one? Is that the one
2 or 3 is the best
like,
one, yeah. Yeah, 3 was a
Maybe,
really
I don't
good
know, I'm
racer,
not sure.
yeah.
They're made by Rockstar, right? That's all
I played a lot of 3. It had a vibe to it. It never ever interrupted the gameplay. It would seamlessly bring you from race to race, and if you lost the race, it would be like, all right, go back to the other side of the city, like Grand Theft Auto, and restart the race, and it would start the race running. It would like the race would be running, and the other cars would meet you rolling, and then they'd be like, all right, start, and the race would the street race would start, and it was so fucking good. It was like a seamless, you know, racing game, and they morphed it into Grand Theft Auto 4. And that's how we got Grand Theft Auto 5 is Midnight Club. I feel like Midnight Club 3 was the precursor to Grand Theft Auto 5.
Really, no.
Maybe. Man, we are so knowledgeable, dude.
These like dead franchises from like 16 years ago.
People will be shocked that we didn't play. The people are still mad I haven't played BioShock yet.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that BioShock is infinitely better than Midnight Club 3.
You think so?
No.
I think Midnight Club 3 is the one that people are like really
that's the
hyped
one that
about.
that's
Midnight
actually
Club 3 Dub Edition. Is that like dubstep?
No, it's like Dub Magazine.
What's Dub Magazine? Is it a magazine about cars?
Yeah, like custom cars, like a Pimp My Ride type.
Makes sense. Did it get delisted? I guess I never checked to see if it was delisted. I'm just assuming it got delisted.
Yeah, it got delisted.
It is the first game in the series to feature licensed vehicles. Okay, well that makes sense why the game got delisted. I mean, I guess if Midnight Club 3 had a dub edition where they partnered with a magazine, there is a chance that that license could have also expired even if they didn't have real vehicles in the game. Dude, look at this. We're so good at understanding why these games are getting delisted that we're finding delisted games that we didn't find originally just by assuming based on the content of the game. That's That's interesting. Or at least I'm amused by it.
Professional delisting experts.
Some company should hire us.
To delist their games? Or oh, I know what I'm doing. I have a long list of games I'm gonna delist.
What's the first one on your indie list?
Rainbow Six Siege.
Dude, I don't know why I just knew you were gonna say that.
Hate that game.
But you love it too.
I mean, yeah, a little bit.
But I'd be okay if it got delisted also. I love the game when I like it. But I mean, I think it's a net negative for the world. Or what I was saying, like, the thing is, like, what type of jobs do people who are like history majors in college get? Like, there's got to be a job for them, right? Like, why would you study history and, you know, get a degree in it? If you're not going to go like get a job as a historian or something, right? Well, I was trying to say, like, we're so knowledgeable on delisting games, we could get like hired by some company to like know about games that were delisted. Or like work on a documentary, get hired by a documentary company.
A documentary?
No, there's no money in it. We're
reasonable.
losers.
Yeah, or at least like a YouTube video.
Yeah, like this.
There's
Not
no money
ours,
in
like
it.
someone else should hire us. Like I want money. Let's
Oh,
just go to the
good.
next one.
Time
We
worked
got.
best.
Another game joining the list of games that got delisted without any reason being given is Battlestar Galactica Deadlock, which came out in 2017 for PC, PS4, and Xbox One, and later on for the Nintendo Switch. I honestly was kind of shocked to learn that there was anything new in the Battlestar Galactica franchise after like 2010. But yeah, somehow this game released and they made it. And it was a turn-based strategy game where you control ships in space. Like, I feel like there's so many of these
Ships
types of
in
games.
space.
Yeah, control a ship in space. Nonetheless, apparently it was a pretty good game and
Yeah, it
even
wasn't
got
a bad
several
game. I
DLCs.
remember that game,
But
yeah.
just last month in November, they announced that the game and all its DLC would be getting delisted. There was never any reason given, so maybe it was another case of license expiring, I guess. I mean, it is a franchise that they licensed, so I guess that's it. I don't know. And it's been 8 years since the original release, so I don't know. Battlestar Galactica, I thought that died after the reboot and like ended in like 2009 or 2010.
And there was one other game I wanted to talk about that also was a game that got delisted and then came back. It took a little while, but it wasn't like a long time. That's actually Alan Wake, which got delisted in 2017, and it looked like that was going to be it. I think they put the game on like a super sale even right before. You could pick it up for like $1.99 or something on Steam because the game was going to go away. So this was your chance to get some Alan Wake in. Once again, when they make these statements, hey, we're delisting the game, buy it while you can because licenses are expiring, they're never really clear. They don't like explicitly say in their press statement, this specific song is causing us issues. So you know what I mean? You have to kind of put two and two together and try to figure it out. Now, there was speculation that Alan Wake was getting delisted because of some of the music that was used in the game. It looked like some of the songs like Space Odyssey by David Bowie and a few others were probably the reason why it was going under. And Remedy was a little bit clearer about what they were doing and why the game was getting delisted than other game studios. So kudos to them for at least like being straight up, because you never get to see companies just be like, hey, this is what's going on, right? But I can't help but to wonder the full deal that was happening behind the scenes with Alan Wake, because the game did end up returning a year later after it was delisted. And when you would expect something like this to happen, like even when Grand Theft Auto changes out the music for licensing stuff, or they, you know, add new music to replace music, it's because they're addressing some of the things. And people suspected that Alan Wake would just do an update and remove the music because most of the game could still stay intact without having the copyrighted music that their license expired for. But the music was still there when the game came back. So did they make a deal to reacquire the music licenses? I think they did.
Ooh, I got a new necklace. $6.55 necklace.
Run away. Run away.
Easy peasy. Let's see what I got for this. I got 330. So yeah, if I keep catching like little bonus runs like this, I will do pretty well. I have to get up at noon, which means going to bed at like 3. Should maybe do it now. I'll stop at 2. I'll go for 35 more minutes and I'll stop at 2. I've got to get up. It'll take me 2 hours to wind down and fall asleep, and then sleep till 12. That'll be 8 hours, and then I'll do what I need to do, and then come home and work.
Which is impressive, but then it gets a little more interesting. But in the original Alan Wake, there were sponsored brand placement, product placement in the game. There were Energizer batteries, which Alan Wake uses for his flashlight, and there were like signage all over the place for Verizon Wireless.
This turned out to kill Alan Wake.
Were removed when the game was remastered. So, do they have to pay licensing fees? I feel like it'd be the other way around. Like, they don't want to give free product placement out unless Energizer and Verizon are paying for it again, right?
They probably were the ones that, like, would have gotten the money, definitely.
Or does it work both ways? Maybe they have to establish a partnership deal where they have a license to use this, but they also get paid. I guess that could make sense, too. It sounds weird, but these partnerships are weird.
I guess it's still copyrighted, right? Like the logos for lithium batteries and stuff like that. Energizer batteries.
So I just wanted to point that one out because I do think that that's interesting. And I did mourn the fact that we no longer use the Energizer batteries in Alan Wake if you play it nowadays. So it is what it is.
Now we get them cheap Dollar Tree ones we find in the forest.
Dude, have you ever used the Dollar Tree batteries before?
Yeah, or Dollar General ones. Yeah.
Okay, back on the Xbox 360 days, I needed batteries because my
so
controller kept dying. And my dad went, and he just happened to be at like Dollar Tree or something. I don't know why. I think it just had opened in town. And he picked up the Dollar Tree brand AA batteries for me. Those things would die after like 40 minutes. I went through the entire package in like 1.5 days. It was insane. It was like a big thing, but it was $1. But I guess that's why.
I guess you get a $1 performance, right?
Nice.
Yeah, it was so annoying.
Nowadays they'd be $1.50 or something, I bet.
$1.25, that's what the thing is now, right?
Is it still 25 or did they increase it to 50?
Dude, I don't know. I never go to Dollar Tree. I really don't like the store, but occasionally there's some cool stuff in there. Like, you ever need to buy like forks? Or like plates, dude, for $1? Can't go wrong there. But they have a frozen section, and it's like $1 section, $2 section, $3 section, $4, like all the way up to like $5 or $6.
$5 store.
Yeah, I'm like, what is this? What is this? I have a little bit of an anecdotal story I want to look into here. I don't know if I've talked about this on the channel before. I think I have one other time I might have told this story, so I'll go through it quickly. Back in 2009, I went to my very first concert called Jingle Bell Bash. It's held in Seattle. There were some really cool bands there, like All American Rejects, Cobra Starship, All Time Low, and a bunch of other really cool bands. It was a really cool concert, but they did a radio show, right? And you
Lamplighter
could call the radio
Storage.
station,
Cool,
and
look
if
at
you're
it.
caller 106, you got 2 free tickets and a backstage thing where you got to like meet one of the
Cool,
bands,
she
right?
burns.
So
Look,
I
a
called
Lamplighter
twice a day,
Storage. I
'cause
forgot
did,
I got
like,
this.
the thing 4 times a day, but I was in school for 2 of them. Twice a day, every day for 3 weeks trying to get these backstage ticket things, and eventually I actually got through, and I was caller 106 and I got the tickets. Crazy, right?
Yeah.
So I go to this concert. It was really cool. I got to meet any band that I wanted. One band I got to pick, and I picked Cash, like one of the opening acts. I just liked their music. I didn't even get to talk to them. They just give you like a quick picture. I have the picture still. This is 14-year-old Elijah, mind you. It was a great concert, but definitely set this thing where I liked Jingle Bell Bash so much, that concert, that I wanted to go back the next year, but they hosted it again. And 2010's Jingle Bell Bash was sponsored by Xbox 360 and Kinect, because they were trying to hype up the Kinect, right? This is where it gets interesting. At this concert, they had a Kinect stand. Mind you, I didn't win the radio call-in this time, so I didn't get to do the whole backstage thing. I didn't try as hard, but I went to the Kinect stand, and you could try out the Kinect before it's released or right after it's released, but you could try it out or whatever, and they would give you a little card voucher for trying the Kinect experience. And those card vouchers were worth 400 Microsoft points, equivalent to $5 in the Xbox store. But then, at the concert, they had been hyping up that there was a mystery band performing, and nobody knew who the band was. But right before the final act, which at that concert was Paramore, there was a mystery band that would be brought out on stage, and they would perform, and it turned out to be Boys Like Girls. And I will tell you this, I was very surprised with how bad Boys Like Girls sounded live at this concert. I don't know if they're having an off day, but it just didn't sound good. So while everybody was like listening to them, my friends and I went back to the Xbox Kinect stand, and they were like getting ready to wrap things up because the concert was almost over. The headlining act was about to come out, but they let us just play because there was no line. And we played the Kinect one more time, and as they were wrapping things up, the people working the booth were like, hey, do you guys want some of these cards? And they handed my friends and I a stack like this big of the Microsoft point cards. I don't think they realized that those had monetary value.
Cool,
that you
they
could
fixed
buy
the elevator
games with on the store. So my friends and I divvied it up, and I think we all ended up walking away with like $140 in Xbox credits each. And there was 3 of us, so it was a pretty big victory. So I went home and I spent that money over the course of like the next 3 months. I spent it very quickly. It was like Call of Duty DLC. I think eventually I had a little bit of points at the end, and I ended up buying Minecraft when that came out. But I bought Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
That's a good game.
That is where we are now, because Scott Pilgrim versus the World eventually ended up getting delisted. That whole story was necessary.
Oh, that's delisted.
Didn't you also buy Sonic 4 Episode 2 from it?
Sonic 4 Episode 1.
Oh, okay.
This guy actually lived his life. So many nerds
I did
don't.
also buy all of the like Sonic the Hedgehog games individually. And I think I bought Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2 when those came out, and I still have them on my Xbox account. And whenever I play
Me
Sonic
too.
Adventure, I'll play it through my Xbox. 15 years later, still paying off. Me going over there and on the
Which
Kinect.
is weird. It
because
should be
I
on
did
a
play Sonic
Sega
Adventure
system.
2 for something like a year ago. And look at that. 15 years later. Here we are. So Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, interesting concept of a game. I couldn't figure out what to do or how to get past the first 5 minutes of it. I got real bored with it after like 5 minutes when I was 14 or 15 at the time. So I kind of gave up on it, but it did end up getting delisted, and it got delisted, interestingly enough, once again by Ubisoft, because the rights to Scott Pilgrim vs. the World was a licensing deal with Universal Pictures, and when that expired, the game ended up getting delisted in 2013, and a lot of people were kind of disappointed. Now, there might have been also some soundtrack licensing thing, as one of the bands in it expired separately, which added another barrier to get the game renewed. Because I think the game itself might have been renewed had there not been like 2 different licenses that they had to get going. So the game was gone, but then randomly in 2021, a new licensing agreement was made to bring the game back. and it actually is one of the few examples of a game that gets delisted for licensing, and then years later actually gets brought back.
incoming.
So Ubisoft had to make a new licensing deal for both, I think, Universal Pictures and the licensed band, but they did it, and now you can play the game, or you can purchase the game on the store for the first time. If you own the game and it got delisted, you can still play the game, but if you wanted to buy it for the first time, you could. You think that whole story was necessary?
How else would they know why you bought
It was entertaining.
Scott Pilgrim vs. the World back in 2010?
I just wanted to point out, like, I was 15,
incoming.
and like, I wasn't just spending like $20 or however much it was on Scott Pilgrim versus the World, a beat 'em up game that I played for 5 minutes, just willy-nilly. I spent it because I had money burning a hole in my Xbox account's pocket, and I needed to just like spend it. I bought a ton of other games. I think that's how I got Castle Miner Z. I think that's how I got Mount Your Friends. Have you ever played that?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I got that game on there, dude. I got some other indie games, those like really terrible ones. And I think I probably changed my gamer tag like 3 times.
Oh yeah, that costs money too, I forgot.
I was like Evil Turtle for a while.
I have another game that got delisted and came back. DuckTales
Watch your
Remastered,
step.
but it didn't take years.
That was
for
a
it to
good
come
game.
back, but we'll get to that. So DuckTales Remastered was like an HD remake of the NES DuckTales game from 1989, published by Capcom, and it released for modern consoles and PC in 2013 and phones in 2015. And the game was pretty well received, like mostly getting 7 to 8 out of 10s across the board by critics and fans. And then in 2017, they first delisted the phone versions, and in 2019 they announced that they're delisting the game from all other platforms as well, almost exactly 6 years after the release. And most likely they had a 6-year licensing contract with Disney, and the time ran out, and that's why they had to delist it. But much like Scott Pilgrim, it didn't end there. And in March of 2020, just roughly 6 months after the delisting, Capcom announced that DuckTales Remastered is back and is officially relisted. So I mean, this one didn't take years. They just like, I guess, took 6 months to figure out some contracts, and then here we are. It's back, and you can still buy it to this day.
I have one more I wanted to bring up, and that is PT, which was Silent Hill's playable teaser that ended up getting delisted. Now, we've talked about this game in a couple of different videos, so I'm not going to talk about it very long, but I did want to point something out because in an older video, we did kind of make a mistake. People called us out in the comments, rightfully so, but we did talk about this game in our video we did on game betas that were so bad the game got canceled. And honestly, we just wanted to talk about PT specifically because it was a unique case of a game getting canceled, so then the whole teaser gets scrapped from the face of the planet. So we talked about that, but it did go in the video where we are talking about bad games. So people were mad, thinking that we were insinuating that the PT playable teaser was bad. Playable teaser was really good, so I just wanted to bring that up. But yeah, that game got delisted. That's the whole thing I wanted to say.
I remember people putting up the PlayStation 4s with that game on it for like hundreds of dollars on eBay. You remember that? I wonder if it's still like a thing.
Look it up. How much can we get? How much can we finally play PT for?
1,000. This guy is selling it for 1,000. This one for 450. This one for 800. This one for 375, which also includes a rare Paragon background. So I guess that one is the best bang for your buck.
Tax write-off?
Yeah,
Target
exactly. Is Paragon? I don't even know. Wait, which one is Paragon? That's not that one where they have the big hips, right? That's like Destiny.
Oh no, that's Warframe.
Oh, that's Warframe. Okay. I have another quick one
AOE
about a game that
incoming.
actually kind of sucked. I don't think too many people missed that this was delisted. But there was a Legend of Korra game that was developed by Platinum Games, who are known for Bayonetta, Neo Automata, and I guess Star Fox Zero.
Phase
The game
2.
was published and released by Activision in 2014, and it was not very well received, like I said. Even IGN only gave it a 4.2 out of 10, which might be the lowest IGN score I've ever seen. I mean, not really, but it was just like a licensed game. It was like this action beat 'em up, but I don't know, it was just boring. And the license with that also expired in 2017, and you cannot play it unless you bought it before the delisting. And this game also never had a physical release, so it was only the digital version. So I guess if you never bought it digitally, rest in peace, you'll never be able to play this. So I do have one more thing that I kind of want to talk about at the end. And it's not something that has been delisted yet, but it's an announcement for something getting
belt.
delisted in 2026.
Oh, dude, we
My eye
started
level
with
now
one
is
and we're ending with one.
570.
What is it?
It
I don't
is
know
the
what
PS4
good
version
is,
of
but-
Genshin Impact.
Oh no, how could they do this?
You know, that made me kind of realize that there's a ton of like PS4 and Xbox One generation games that are gonna get delisted or service shut down like soon. And I think there's already like a couple that I've heard about, like Black Desert Online for the Xbox One is like shutting down its servers or shut down its servers and stuff like that, and it's getting delisted. So I think there will be like a huge flood of like last generation like games that will just be delisted.
and now you can play the game, or you can purchase the game on the store for the first time. If you own the game and it got delisted,
You skip around constantly. I press some button and you just send me somewhere. I hate it.
And in March of 2020, just roughly 6 months after the delisting,
So we
also
got
never
to
had
the
a
end, huh?
physical release, so it was only the digital version. So I guess if you never bought it digitally, rest in peace, you'll never be able to play this. So I do have one more thing that I kind of want to talk about at the end. And it's not something that has been delisted yet, but it's an announcement for something getting delisted in 2026.
Oh, dude, we started with one and we're ending with one. What is it?
It is the PS4 version of Genshin Impact.
Oh no, how could they do this?
You know, that made me kind of realize
that's the version I got started on.
that there's a ton of like PS4 and Xbox One generation games that are gonna get delisted or service shut down like soon.
Yeah, soon.
And I think there's already like a couple that I've heard about, like Black Desert Online for the Xbox One is like shutting down its servers or shut down its servers and stuff like that, and it's getting delisted. So I think there will be like a huge flood of like last generation like games that will just be delisted.
You know what I thought was going to get delisted soon, and then I was surprised that it hasn't?
What?
Overwatch 2 for Nintendo Switch 1. I was scrolling through Twitter, and I saw Nintendo tweeting about the new season starting in Overwatch 2. And I was just like, dang. They don't have a Switch 2 version, but I mean the Switch 1 version isn't good looking. That's for sure. I don't think the performance is the best.
Maybe they're working on an update for it.
Maybe a Switch 2 version, that'd be nice.
Maybe it will get delisted after they make a Switch 2 version.
No, that makes sense. Do you think Genshin's gonna still come out on the Switch 1?
I don't think so. I don't even know.
We're still waiting. They did the trailer. They put the trailer out. It exists. They said it was coming soon. It's been 5+ years. Where is it?
Before they announced it, they never checked the hardware specs for the Switch, and they just went ahead and announced it. And here we are.
Dang.
Will it come out for the Switch 2? It could probably run it better, but we'll see, I guess.
If the Switch 2 can handle Cyberpunk 2077 as well as it does, it has to be able to handle Genshin Impact, right?
I don't know what kind of spaghetti code Genshin is made on.
It's true. Okay, well, if you enjoyed this video, check out our Patreon or YouTube members.
Genshin's
if you
a good
are a
client.
long-time supporter and you
It
want to
might
continue
be
to
a
support
bad
us
engine,
financially. Otherwise, if you're new, a subscription is plenty, or a comment or a like, just engaging. So, so the YouTube algorithm's like, yo, this video is kind of a low-key banger. Let's send it out. And then YouTube will then send you our other videos, which are also bangers. YouTube's algorithm is kind of smart sometimes. So like the thing it'll recommend is actually things that like statistically data-wise, you might also want to watch for a long time. So cool how that works. Subscribe is what I'm saying. Just please do it. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching. Thank you to our patrons and YouTube members. We'll see you guys soon with another video.
Thanks very much for joining me. Let me give you the good news and the bad news. The good news is that last Thursday afternoon at a beautiful and moving event, I had the privilege of swearing in Zohran Mamdani as the next mayor of New York City. At a time in our country's history when we are seeing too much hatred, divisiveness, and injustice, Zohran's victory inspired the nation to believe that we can have a government that represents all of us and not just the wealthy and the powerful. Further, at a time when people in the United States and around the world are losing faith in democracy, over 90,000 New Yorkers volunteered for Zohran's campaign and knocked on millions of doors. Together, they took on the Democratic establishment, the Republican establishment, the President of the United States, and some enormously wealthy oligarchs, and defeated them in the biggest political upset in modern American history. They showed the world the most important lesson that can be learned today. When working people stand together, there is nothing that can stop us. This is a lesson that will and must be replicated in cities and states all across our country. Zohran's opponents have called the agenda that he campaigned on radical, communistic, and unachievable. Really? That's not what I believe. That is not what you believe, and that is certainly not what the American people believe. In the richest country in the history of the world, making sure that people can live in affordable housing is not radical. It is the right and decent thing to do. And in the midst of a massive housing crisis all across this country, it is exactly what the people of the city and what Americans want and need. Providing free and high-quality childcare is not radical. Countries around the world have done it for years. It is what our kids require if they are to be well prepared for school and what working parents desperately need. It is, in fact, what every city in America should be doing. Free bus transportation is not radical. It will save workers time and money, protect our environment, and make the city more efficient. Making sure that every family in New York, regardless of income, has access to decent quality food at an affordable cost is not radical. Good nutrition keeps us healthy and helps prevent chronic illnesses. In the long run, city-sponsored grocery stores will actually save money. Lastly, demanding that the wealthy and large corporations start paying their fair share of taxes to help fund the needs of working families is certainly not radical. Today, while 60% of our people live paycheck to paycheck, we have more income and wealth inequality than we have ever had. While tens of millions of Americans struggle to pay for food, healthcare, housing, and other basic necessities, the top 1% have never, ever had it so good. And yet, there are billionaires out there and large corporations that pay almost nothing in taxes. That has got to end, and that's what Iran intends to do.
Watch your feet.
That is the good news.
Watch your feet.
And for those of us who believe in democracy and economic, social, and racial justice, it is very good news. But here is the bad news. On Saturday, just 2 days after Iran's inauguration, Donald Trump once again showed his contempt for the Constitution and the rule of law with his attack on Venezuela. Let's be clear. The President of the United States does not have the right to unilaterally take this country to war, even against a corrupt and brutal dictator like Maduro. The United States does not have the right, as Trump stated, to run Venezuela. Congress must immediately pass a war powers resolution to end this illegal military operation and reassert its constitutional responsibilities. Trump's attack on Venezuela will not make the United States and the world safer. Quite the contrary. This brazen violation of international law gives a green light to any other nation on earth or any terrorist organization that may wish to attack another country. And they will use Trump's action in Venezuela as their rationale. Trump did it, why can't we do it? Trump and his administration have made it clear that they want to revive the Monroe Doctrine, the belief that the United States has the right to dominate the affairs of the hemisphere. They have spoken openly about controlling Venezuela's oil reserves, the largest in the world. Let us not hesitate to call this policy out for what it is. This is rank imperialism. It recalls the darkest chapters of U.S. intervention in Latin America, which have left a terrible and destructive legacy. As many will recall, Trump campaigned for president on an American First platform. He claimed to be the peace candidate.
Watch your feet.
Well, at a time when 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, when our healthcare system is collapsing, when people can't afford housing, and when artificial intelligence threatens to wipe out millions of jobs, it is time for the president to focus on the crises facing this country and to end military adventurism abroad.
Breath incoming.
Trump is failing in his job to run the United States. He should not be trying to run Venezuela. So, that is what we have seen this week. On one hand, we celebrated a major victory for our progressive movement. On the other hand, we witnessed a reactionary, oligarchic government at its worst. Needless to say, these are crazy and tumultuous times, and everyone feels a bit overwhelmed. But this is what I honestly believe. If we are smart, if we are disciplined, and if we are focused, the future will reflect the vision that Tehran laid out in its speech on Thursday. A vision that many of us have espoused for years. The American people do not want oligarchy. They do not want authoritarianism. They do not want hatred and a massive level of income and wealth inequality. They want to live in a vibrant democracy with a government that represents all Americans and not just billionaire campaign contributors. The struggle that we are in will not be easy, but keep the faith. We will win. Thank you so much for all that you do. Happy New Year.
There is a specific kind of quiet panic that happens when the thing you rely on, the thing that is just supposed to be there, the thing that feels like the furniture of your life, suddenly threatens to get up and walk out the door. We are used to thinking about the economy in terms of abstract numbers. We look at the stock market ticker tape. We look at the unemployment rate. We look at inflation percentages that get read out by people in suits on cable news. But the real economy, the one that you and I actually live in, is measured in much more tangible things. It is measured in the gallon of milk. It is measured in the cost of a new set of tires. It is measured in the checkout line at the place where, statistically speaking, more Americans buy their groceries than anywhere else on earth. That place, of course, is Walmart. And for decades, the deal with Walmart has been very simple. It has been an implicit contract between the biggest retailer in the world and the American consumer. The deal was this. They build the massive logistical empire. They squeeze the supply chain until it screams. They scour the globe for the cheapest possible manufacturing. And in exchange, you get the lowest possible price. You get the rollback. You get the predictability. You get the sense that no matter what else is happening in the world, the prices at the big box store are going to stay relatively flat. That was the deal. That was the era of globalization that defined the late 20th and early 21st centuries. But what happens when that deal is broken? Not because shoppers stopped showing up, and not because the company forgot how to do logistics, but because the government changed the rules of the game so fundamentally that the math no longer works. We're looking at a headline right now that feels like a glitch in the simulation. We are looking at a story that suggests the biggest employer in the United States, the company that is essentially synonymous with the American retail landscape, is making a strategic decision to pivot away from the United States. Walmart ditching the U.S. sounds like a contradiction in terms. It sounds like saying the ocean is ditching the water. But if you look at what is actually happening in the policy world, if you look at the decisions being made in the White House and how those decisions ripple out to the loading docks and the distribution centers, this is not just a scare story. This is the logical economic consequence of a very specific political choice. We are talking about tariffs. We are talking about the new aggressive protectionist policies from the Trump administration. And we are talking about the collision between a political ideology that says we can tax our way to prosperity and the economic reality of a company that relies on moving goods across borders to keep prices down. When you hear that Walmart is ditching the U.S., what we are really talking about is a fundamental restructuring of how they do business, because the cost of serving the American market under these new tariffs has become unsustainable for their business model. To understand why this is happening right now, you have to peel back the layers of what a tariff actually is. There is a lot of rhetoric out there. There is a lot of tough talk about making other countries pay, about bringing jobs back, about punishing foreign competitors. And that sounds great on a bumper sticker. It sounds strong. But in the cold, hard light of a corporate boardroom, a tariff is just a tax. It is a tax that is paid at the border, not by the country sending the goods, but by the company bringing them in. So when the administration announces a sweeping new round of tariffs, they are effectively handing a massive tax bill to companies like Walmart. And Walmart operates on razor-thin margins. They make their money on volume. They do not have a massive cushion to just absorb a 20 or 60% increase in the cost of the goods sitting on their shelves. so they have a choice. They can pass that cost on to you, which destroys their entire brand promise of low prices, or they can look at the map of the world and say maybe the American market with these new artificial costs is no longer the best place to focus our growth. Maybe we need to shift our supply chains, shift our inventory, and shift our focus to markets where the government isn't actively making it more expensive to sell a toaster or a t-shirt. This is the story that is getting buried under the political noise. We are so focused on the horse race of who is up and who is down in Washington that we miss the tectonic shift happening in the real economy. If Walmart is signaling a retreat from the U.S. market or a massive reduction in its U.S. footprint or a shift in its supply chain that effectively cuts out the American consumer from the best prices, that is a blinking red light for the entire economy. It suggests that the policy of isolationism, the policy of tearing up trade deals and slapping taxes on imports, is hitting a breaking point. And the scary part is not just that it is happening. The scary part is that this was predicted. Economists, supply chain experts, and even some of the retail giants themselves warned that if you go down this road of trade wars, the first casualty is going to be the American consumer's wallet, and the second casualty is going to be the availability of goods. Think about the sheer scale of what Walmart moves. We are talking about a company that has a GDP bigger than many actual countries. They are the ultimate bellwether. If they are sneezing, the economy has the flu. If they are saying that the U.S. market is becoming too toxic, too expensive, or too difficult to navigate because of these tariffs, that is not just a business story. That is a story about the viability of the American standard of living. It is a story about what happens when you prioritize political posturing over economic mechanics. And we need to get into the details of this. We need to look at exactly which tariffs triggered this. We need to look at what ditching the U.S. actually looks like in practice. Does it mean store closures? Does it mean empty shelves? Does it mean prices doubling overnight? And we need to understand how we got to a place where the American government and the American economy seem to be at war with each other. This isn't just about one store. This is about whether the economic system we have built over the last 40 years is being dismantled brick by brick, and what that means for your grocery bill next Tuesday. Because when the dust settles, it is not the politicians who pay the price. It is the person standing at the register watching the total go up and up, wondering what happened to the deal we thought we had. To understand the gravity of this moment, we have to look at the architecture of the machine itself. We have to go back to Bentonville, Arkansas, and look at what Sam Walton actually built. We tend to think of Walmart as a place where we go to buy things, but economically speaking, Walmart is an import engine. It is a massive vacuum cleaner that sucks up goods from manufacturing hubs around the world, primarily Asia, and deposits them in American living rooms. For 40 years, the economic logic of this country was built on a specific trade-off. We allowed our domestic manufacturing base to atrophy. We watched factories close in Ohio and Michigan and Pennsylvania. We watched those jobs go overseas. And the political class, Democrats and Republicans alike, told us that this was the natural order of things. They told us that while we might lose the factory jobs, we would gain something else: access to an endless river of incredibly cheap goods. You might not make the microwave anymore, but you can buy a microwave for $40. That was the trade-off. That was the globalization bargain. And Walmart was the physical embodiment of that bargain. They perfected the logistics of moving a shipping container from Shenzhen to Long Beach to a distribution center in Kansas faster and cheaper than anyone else in history. But now that machinery is grinding gears, and it is not because the ship stopped running. It is because the political consensus that allowed that machine to operate has been set on fire. When the Trump administration began its first trade war, it was a skirmish. It was steel and aluminum. It was a few specific categories. It was disruptive, sure, but it was manageable for a giant like Walmart. They could hedge, they could stockpile, they could squeeze their suppliers a little harder. But what we are seeing now, what is driving this headline about Walmart ditching the U.S., is a total escalation of hostilities. We are talking about universal tariffs. We are talking about a policy that views every incoming ship not as a delivery of goods, but as an economic invasion that needs to be repelled. And when you institute a blanket tariff, whether it is 10%, 20%, or 60% on specific countries, you are effectively detonating the foundation of the Walmart business model. Think about the math of a discount retailer. This is the boring part that explains everything. Walmart does not make a lot of profit on each item. If you buy a $5 t-shirt, they might make pennies on that transaction. Their power comes from selling 1 billion t-shirts. Now imagine the government steps in and says, that t-shirt now costs the importer, Walmart, an extra $1 in tax. $1. It doesn't sound like much, but if the profit margin on that shirt was only 50 cents to begin with, the business model just evaporated. You are now losing money on every single shirt you sell. So what do? You cannot simply absorb the cost. You cannot just tell shareholders, sorry, we aren't making money this year. You have two options. Option A, you raise the price of the t-shirt to $7, but if you do that, your customers, who are often living paycheck to paycheck, stop buying the t-shirt. They can't afford it. Option B, you stop trying to sell t-shirts in America. You look at the map and say, where else can we do business? And this is where the ditching comes in. This is the part that should send a shiver down the spine of anyone who cares about the American economy. Walmart is looking at the United States, its home, its birthplace, its biggest market, and it is seeing a hostile environment, not because of taxes on profits, but because of taxes on inventory. So, logically, they are pivoting. They are looking at markets in Mexico where they have a massive presence. They are looking at India where they own Flipkart. They are looking at places where the government is not actively trying to make imported goods more expensive. If the U.S. government makes it prohibitively expensive to act as an importer, Walmart will simply stop acting as an importer for the U.S. and start focusing its capital where the goods can still flow freely. We are seeing the incentives realign in real time. For decades, the incentive was build it in China, sell it in America. Now, the incentive structure created by these tariffs is build it in Vietnam or Mexico and sell it, well, maybe sell it there too. Or sell it in Europe. Or sell it anywhere but the place that just put up a massive paywall at the border. The irony, of course, is thick enough to cut with a knife. The stated goal of these tariffs is to bring manufacturing back to the United States. The theory is that if Walmart can't import that t-shirt cheaply, they will be forced to buy a t-shirt made in South Carolina. But that assumes there is a factory in South Carolina ready to make t-shirts. It assumes there is a workforce ready to sew them. It assumes the raw cotton and the dyes and the machinery, which are also probably imported and now tariffed, are available. But supply chains don't turn on a dime. You cannot replace 40 years of global infrastructure with a press release. So in the interim, and the interim could last for years, we are left in a void. The foreign goods get too expensive, the domestic goods don't exist yet, and the retailer that connects the two decides to pack up its ball and go play in a different stadium. This isn't just about corporate strategy. This is about the dismantling of the consumer economy as we know it. When a company the size of Walmart decides that the U.S. market is too risky or too expensive because of government policy, they aren't just closing a few stores. They are rewiring the global flow of capital. They are saying effectively that the American consumer is no longer the most attractive customer in the world. And why would we be? If everything we want to buy has a penalty tax attached to it, our purchasing power collapses. Walmart sees this. They have the best data in the world. They know exactly what happens to demand when prices go up by 5%, let alone 20%. They see the cliff coming. And rather than drive off it with the rest of us, they are steering the ship toward calmer waters. The system works by following the path of least resistance to the highest return. For half a century, that path led directly to the American suburban shopper. Today, thanks to a policy that prioritizes trade wars over trade flow, that path is being blocked. And Walmart is doing exactly what a rational economic actor does in that situation. They are finding a new path, one that might bypass us entirely. We have to be very clear about who takes the hit here. When the elephants fight, it is the grass that gets trampled. And in this economic brawl between the White House and the global supply chain, the grass is the American family earning less than $50,000 a year. It is important to strip away the political language of winning and look at the accounting of paying. Because someone always pays. There is no such thing as free money in economics, and there is certainly no such thing as a free trade war. When Walmart faces these new tariff costs and they decide to reduce their exposure to the U.S. market, or when they inevitably raise prices on the goods that remain, that cost is not being borne by the Chinese government. It is not being borne by the factory owner in Vietnam. It is being transferred directly and immediately to the receipt in your hand. Economists have a term for this. They call it a regressive tax. It means a tax that hits poor people harder than it hits rich people. If you are a billionaire and the price of a gallon of milk or a pack of socks goes up by 20%, you do not even notice. It is a rounding error in your daily life. But if you are a single parent counting every single quarter to make sure you can put food on the table until Friday, that 20% increase is a catastrophe. It is the difference between having dinner and not having dinner. And this is the cruelty at the heart of this policy. Walmart's entire existence, its whole corporate identity, has been built on serving that specific demographic, the cost-conscious consumer. The people who need the low prices the most. By targeting the supply chain that makes those low prices possible, the administration is effectively levying a massive tax on the very people they claim to be championing. They are taking money out of the pockets of the working class and telling them it is for their own good, that it is...
Somehow I got 1,000 Time Warp badges, so now, in World of Warcraft, there's a toy you can buy for 1,000 Time Warp badges. Where do I buy the toy for Alliance? In World of Warcraft, I have 1,000 Time Warp badges. I want to buy the toy that makes it daylight from the vendor. Where is the vendor? I think it's back in Stormwind. Huh? Caverns of Time. Fucking Caverns of Time. What's the best way currently for Alliance to get to Caverns of Time? Is it a teleportal in Stormwind? Oh. Nice, I like Monk. It can, like, actually stop from dying. It's cool. I don't need the Goblin Godders. Oh, no, that doesn't work, huh? Control tab. Yeah, control tab. At least I didn't die. I could buy a copy of Original WoW for just, like, playing hardcore. Founders Point. Dornogal. Borealis. Ouroboros. Founders Point. Jade Forest, Crystal Song Forest, Exodar, Caverns of Time. I think I need my tab key, and I don't use, I don't use the map in this game. I didn't realize, so I'm going to go and change the map. Yeah, I don't want map to be tab. I want it to be M. Yep, a mini map is fine. And then back in the options for keybinds, I want you to give me a keybind for target. Target nearest enemy, I guess, and put that on tab, I guess, and I'll just do tab target. That's fine. Okay, and then finally, I want Shift M for music. Toggle music. Control M. You won't let me do that, huh? What's, like, what? Okay, the keyboard's being weird again. I don't know. Control M? Okay, I don't know. I guess you can't do that, huh? M for toggle music. No, I want it to be Shift M. Yeah, Shift M there. I don't know. Don't I have something here with that now? But anyway, so I am trying to portal the Stormwind, portal the Stormwind, portal the Ogrimmar. There she is. Jar of Sunworm Sand. Sweet. Okay. And we come to Toy Box and we get Jar of Sunworm Sand. This is so cool, and I can just turn it daylight. Now I teleport back home. Well, yeah, I teleport back home, yeah. So now, if I don't like, I haven't seen what the forest even looks like because every time I play WoW, it's been nighttime, right? So now for 2 hours, I can go shut down, and boom, it's daytime. See, I have a toy that turns at daytime, and I can see like what it's like at noon. Yeah, and then I experience midday for 2 hours, and it's a 1-day cooldown, which is sort of sad. I wonder if can you buy a second toy? And this is cool. I can finally see this neighborhood during the day, and I can like actually see what it is and what's around. Jeff the Flight Master. Most groups are now cross-faction, okay. Now I won't be able to use it again until 2 in the morning, though, because it's a one-day cooldown. I should have waited.
Patriotic to pay more for necessities because it sends a message to the world. But who actually benefits? If the consumer loses and the retailer loses, surely someone is winning, right? Well, follow the money. In the short term, the federal government collects the tariff revenue. It goes into the Treasury. It becomes a slush fund that the administration can use to hand out subsidies to the industries that get hurt the most by the retaliatory tariffs that always follow. We saw this with the farmers in the last trade war. The government broke the market with tariffs. The farmers lost their customers overseas. And then the government used the tariff money to write checks to the farmers to keep them quiet. It is a circular, broken system where the government breaks your leg and then offers you a crutch that you paid for. The other winners are a handful of domestic industries that have been lobbied for protection. If you make widgets in America and you can't compete with the price of imported widgets, you love tariffs. You want the government to make your competitor's product more expensive so you can raise your prices without improving your product. It protects inefficiency. It rewards lobbying power over innovation. And look at the asymmetry of power here. Walmart, as massive as it is, acts as a proxy for the consumer. When they fight against tariffs, they are fighting to keep prices low. When they give up, when they ditch the U.S. market strategy because the headwinds are too strong, they are abandoning that proxy war. They are saving themselves. Walmart has the capital to survive this. They have billions in cash. They have global operations. They can weather the storm. The family in rural Ohio does not have a plan B. They do not have a global supply chain to pivot. They are stuck in a local economy that is about to get significantly more expensive. This brings us to the issue of access.
No.
We talk about prices, but we also need to talk about availability. In many parts of this country, Walmart is not just a store. It is the infrastructure. It is the grocery store, the pharmacy, the clothing store, the tire shop, and the bank, all rolled into one. It is the only game in town. If Walmart scales back its U.S. operations, if they stop carrying certain low-margin goods because the tariffs make them unprofitable, we are going to see the expansion of what sociologists call deserts. Food deserts, pharmacy deserts, retail deserts. We are talking about communities being hollowed out, not by a natural disaster, but by a policy disaster. The decision to slap tariffs on everything is a decision to make it harder to be poor in America. It is a decision to make it harder to live in rural America. It is a decision that prioritizes a nostalgic fantasy of an industrial past over the urgent, daily reality of millions of people who just need to be able to afford their lives. And the tragedy is that the people being hurt the most are often the ones who cheered the loudest for the tough talk, not realizing that the toughness was aimed squarely at their own purchasing power. The America First policy, when filtered through the mechanism of tariffs, ironically puts the American consumer last. It puts them behind the domestic lobbyist, behind the government revenue collector, and behind the political narrative. Walmart is simply reading the writing on the wall. They are looking at the scorecard and realizing the game is rigged against the importer and therefore rigged against the customer who relies on imports. And so they are taking their ball and going home, leaving us to stare at the empty shelves and the higher price tags, wondering when the winning is supposed to start. And this is where the political theater really separates from the economic reality and where the story gets darker. Because when the prices inevitably spike and when the inventory starts to dry up, the architects of these tariffs are not going to stand at a podium and say, we did this, we made a policy choice that raised your cost of living. That is not how politics works. Instead, we are already seeing the pivot to a different narrative. We are seeing the administration and its defenders preemptively framing this not as a consequence of tax policy, but as a failure of patriotism. They will point a finger at Walmart and say, look at this wealthy corporation turning its back on America. They will call it corporate greed. They will call it price gouging. We have seen this playbook before. When you break the market mechanics, you have to find a villain to blame for the broken pieces. And a massive faceless corporation like Walmart is the perfect villain. It is easy to hate, it is easy to demonize, but we have to be smarter than that. We have to look at the incentives. Walmart is a publicly traded company. It has a fiduciary duty to its shareholders not to light money on fire. If the government creates an environment where importing goods is a money-losing proposition, the company is legally and structurally obligated to stop doing it. To expect them to absorb massive losses out of a sense of national loyalty is not an economic strategy. It is a fantasy. It is asking a shark to stop swimming. The administration knows this. The trade representatives know this. But they are banking on the fact that the explanation, the part about supply chains, margins, and tariff pass-through rates, is too complicated for a 30-second attack ad. They are banking on the emotional resonance of America First, overpowering the mathematical reality of America Expensive. This brings us to the key actors who are steering the ship into the iceberg. On one side, you have the ideologues in the White House who view trade deficits as a scorecard of winning and losing. They genuinely believe, or at least they claim to believe, that if you punish imports enough, factories will magically sprout out of the ground in the Rust Belt like mushrooms after rain. They are operating on an economic theory that dates back to the 1800s, ignoring the complexity of the modern integrated global economy. On the other side, you have the corporate executives in Bentonville. These are not sentimental people. They are data people. They are logistics people. They are looking at spreadsheets that show the U.S. market becoming increasingly volatile, increasingly regulated by whim, and increasingly costly. And they are making a cold calculation that the future of their growth lies elsewhere. And that is the blinking red light that we ignore at our peril. It is bigger than Walmart. It is bigger than tariffs. This is a signal that the United States is losing its status as the default safe harbor for global capital. For the last 70 years, the selling point of the American economy was stability. We had the rule of law. We had predictable regulations. We had a massive consumer base with money to spend. Companies tolerated high taxes or strict labor laws in other countries because the U.S. was the steady anchor. But if the U.S. government starts behaving erratically, slapping massive tariffs on allies and adversaries alike, threatening companies that try to leave, intervening in private business decisions, then the U.S. stops looking like a safe harbor and starts looking like a risk. Walmart pivoting away from the U.S. is the canary in the coal mine. If the biggest retailer in the world, an American icon, decides that the risk premium of doing business here is getting too high, what is Apple thinking? What is Amazon thinking? What is Ford thinking? We are risking a capital flight where companies don't just move their factories, they move their focus. They stop innovating for the American consumer and start designing for the Indian consumer or the European consumer or the Southeast Asian consumer. We become a legacy market, a big, expensive, difficult place that companies deal with because they have to, not because they want to. This creates a feedback loop of decline. As companies invest less in the U.S. market, the quality of goods goes down, prices go up, and the consumer experience degrades. That makes the market even less attractive, which leads to less investment. It is a death spiral. And it is being triggered not by market forces, but by political vanity. We are dismantling the intricate web of global trade that gave American consumers the highest purchasing power in history, and we are replacing it with a fortress economy. The problem with fortresses is that while they keep enemies out, they also keep resources out. They keep innovation out. And eventually, the people inside the fortress realize they are trapped. The accountability for this lies squarely with the people who think they can rewrite the laws of economics with a Sharpie. They are gambling with the stability of the entire American marketplace. And as Walmart's move shows, the house is starting to lose. The smart money is already looking for the exit, and as usual, the rest of us are left holding the bag. We spent 30 years in this country having a very loud, very heated argument about whether Walmart was good for America. We argued about what it did to small businesses. We argued about what it did to wages. We argued about the aesthetics of the big box store replacing the quaint downtown. But while we were having that argument, a fundamental shift occurred. Walmart stopped being just a competitor to the local economy and became the local economy. In thousands of towns across the United States, the supercenter is not just the primary grocer, it is the primary employer, it is the town square, it is the tax base. So when we talk about Walmart ditching the U.S. strategy, or scaling back its presence because the tariff environment has made the math impossible, we are not just talking about a corporation changing its quarterly projections. We are talking about the potential collapse of the economic anchor for huge swathes of the country. If the supply chain contracts, the labor needs contract. If you are importing fewer goods, you need fewer longshoremen to unload them. You need fewer truckers to haul them. You need fewer people in the back of the store stocking the shelves. You need fewer cashiers. The tariff policy, which sells itself as a job creator, acts in practice as a job destroyer for the service and logistics sector, which is where most Americans actually work. We have to look at the human geography of this. The places that voted most overwhelmingly for the protectionist policies, for the walls and the tariffs, are often the places most heavily dependent on the Walmart ecosystem for survival. It is a cruel irony. The policy is sold as a way to punish the foreign adversary, but the kinetic energy of that punishment lands on the checkout clerk in rural Pennsylvania, whose hours just got cut because foot traffic is down. It lands on the family that realizes their paycheck, which hasn't gone up, now buys significantly less than it did a month ago. Yeah. And this is where the systemic danger lies. When you introduce
Fear.
this level of friction into the economy, when you make it harder to buy, harder to sell, and harder to move goods, you are essentially putting sand in the gears of the engine that drives American living standards. We have grown accustomed to a certain baseline of availability and affordability. We assume that if we need a winter coat for a child, we can find one for $20. We assume that fresh produce is available year-round. These are not laws of nature. They are the results of a specific, highly tuned global economic system. When you take a sledgehammer to that system in the name of political toughness, you don't just get more expensive coats. You get a fundamental degradation of the quality of life. And there is a darker psychological component to this, too. An economy based on abundance feels different than an economy based on scarcity. For the last generation, even if you were struggling, there was a sense that the market was trying to serve you. It was trying to get you goods cheaper, faster, better. That is the engine of consumer capitalism. But a tariff-based economy is an economy of denial. It is an economy that says, no, you cannot have that cheap car, you cannot have that cheap lumber, you must pay the premium for the domestic version, or you must go without. It shifts the power dynamic. It tells the citizen that their primary role is not to seek the best value for their family, but to subsidize the industries the government has decided to protect. It turns the consumer into a captive. And when a giant like Walmart sees that the consumer is becoming a captive and that the government is the captor, they realize there is no room for them to operate their specific business model. They can't offer everyday low prices in an economy designed to create everyday high tariffs. So they pull back. They invest in automation.
Okay, guys, I am going to stop here. I've been at it for 10.5 hours, and I'm going to go to bed. It is 2:30. I would normally stay up later, but I have to get up and go do something at noon. So I will stop this video here with a reminder that you've been watching Skycat Live. I'm a full-time variety gamer all day, every day. Put me on in the background. Click on the cast face to donate at skycat.live. Come to the Twitch or the YouTube. Give me a like, sub, or a follow. Thank you so much, and yep. And that's all. So I'm going to stop this recording with a reminder that I have thousands of videos on my channel. I'm going to upload this entire session that was just recorded today, right now. It'll be up within a day. I love you guys. Thank you so much. Bye.